Good afternoon, YouTube. This is the man always, the Joy Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, we had a nice big weekend for women's bodybuilding, for bodybuilding in general. We had the return of the Masters Olympia. As you know, back in the day, the Masters Olympia was mostly men's bodybuilding, but this time around, it was all conclusive to all 10 divisions. And we have some winners. We have some who are qualified for the Olympia this year. Some already qualified, but they still won in their divisions. We got here my partner in crime, my man, my ace boo cool, my big brother from over there from Kansas, up there in Kansas, yeah, my man Big Keith, aka Steve.
What up?
You
What
know.
up?
So
Love
anyway, I know he watched the live stream, he and his lovely wife. And me, I didn't watch it because it's the end of the month for me, and I'm about broke, and I just got my car fixed, so I can't afford to watch it live. But I did watch some stuff. Female Barbara Channel was there, and AJ, he was there. He was showing stuff on his IG, went live a couple of times, and also it had some pictures. So anyway, first start off, the winner for the women's bodybuilding division is a lady who I had the pleasure of meeting up close and personal. She came down here to my home state of North Carolina. She did a seminar for my man Glenn for his Amazon fitness magazine. Great lady, amazing person. This is going to be her, I believe, her sixth time going to the Olympia, four times for women's bodybuilding, and her third show winning, qualifying by winning. And that is the lovely, the amazing Miss Rashana Boswell. Yay! Congratulations, Rashana. Yeah, because I know Mr. Keith, you know her well. You and you and your wife have shared stage with her quite a few in the past, and hang out with her and her family, her kids, and their sweet little babies, Lex, Lucas and Lois. I love those little babies. And it was kind of close because the lady she was up against, Barbara Mojan, who was with you last year, competed in physique, got invited. I think she put an invitation for I don't know. She decided to switch divisions this year, and she put an application for women's bodybuilding, and it was close. It was
Yeah,
close.
it was very close between the two. Like they said, apples to oranges, baby, apples to oranges.
Yeah, and he looks pretty good. I know she's very happy because when I said like I congratulate her. She was thankful. I told her, well, the pictures thank God, yeah, and I sent the pictures, and I sent the pictures for the show because they put them out. I think later that Sunday evening, Saturday, late Saturday, Sunday evening. I think I think early Sunday afternoon. I think they got them, and I sent it to her. She was happy to get them, and she has that look. She's like. She was just it was people. I think people certain there was I think Isabel said Barbara. I think Bob Chicarillo said Barbara, but I think somebody said it was going to be Rashana.
Yeah, the thing is, that's the best. This is the best I've ever seen her trying to look. In all the shows I've watched her compete in, this is the best package she's brought to the stage after date, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think back when she competed, when she switched over to a bodybuilder, I think it was 2020, and when she qualified the last time, the first time she qualified for actually the first time qualified for winning bodybuilding for the Olympia was by points, and she was second to Teresa Vasic at the Chicago Pro that was in Atlanta that year. Now there's both Barbara and Rashana, and you can really see it. Like I said, it was pretty much close. I think the size is where Barbara got Rashana at, especially in the quads and right about the shoulders and the lats.
Yep, but that little tiny waist of Rashana, is that little crazy waistline of hers. But like I said, I mean, Rashana's legs are full, not as big, but her physique, in my opinion, flowed better.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
Yeah,
better flowing physique, and the
yeah,
waistline, if you can see in these pictures, the waistline was Rashana all the way. The other girl obviously has a bigger back, but Rashana, you just can't beat. I mean, Rashana's lats are a little higher, but that little tiny waistline makes everything look bigger. So I mean, like I said,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to be a judge at this show because that is a flip of a coin. But again, when you got these judges, it all depends on what they want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think right here in the back you can see how much Barbara, she had more striations in the glutes compared to Rashana. Rashana always has, she always had, I remember she said she's always had issue with her glutes. That's one always things that kind of hurt her in shows. And, but she's still working on it. I think she's like she was saying, she was working with some new coaches. And I think she said Sharonica Henson was her posing coach she was working with.
Yep.
And she was pretty impressive. We're gonna go here real quick, and she did the interview talking to the lovely Miss Iris, Linda Murray here, and we show Sean's interview, and it's really something that's hard. You really gotta listen, folks.
Okay, it's a wrap, and we have a champion, our very first Ms. Olympia Masters champion, Roshana Boswell. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Speechless at this point, honestly.
Yeah, speechless.
Yes.
I understand. I mean, so I told someone that for me the great thing is that I get to say Ms. Olympia.
Yes.
You are Ms. Olympia.
Yes. That sounds awesome. That
Yeah.
sounds awesome. Gonna let that soak in for a minute. Yeah.
You're such an important part of women's bodybuilding, and I remember when you moved from women's physique, and we were in Puerto Rico, and now you are Ms. Olympia.
Yes. And I tell people all the time, like, why did you switch? Because Linda said so. That's why.
Yeah, just such a beautiful, beautiful structure. You're everything that we want to see in a Ms. Olympia and a female bodybuilder to represent.
I'm getting better as I go. I promise. I'm getting better as I go.
Oh yeah. That's the dangerous part about you.
Exactly.
That's what's dangerous about her, because she has room. You haven't even touched on like.
No. No, that's the scary part. Trust me. That's
Well, do you have something you want to say to someone special out there, or coach, or
everyone that's kind of had hands into this? My wife, of course, who meal preps every single week, measures every single meal better than I do. My two children, I have twin 3-year-olds at home who I've spent the last few days away from. This is for them. My coach, Eric, who stayed up all night, who's 10 hours behind on Romania time, but stayed up, to be in touch with me. So, posing coaches, Sharonica Hinton, Monique Jones. There's a whole lot of hands in this.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Yes. So just thank you to everyone, and I hope I did everyone proud. And we're not done. We got 2 more. So here we go.
Yep. Now she's on to the Open Ms. Olympia. Yep. Outstanding.
Yeah, we got Rising Phoenix.
And the Rising Phoenix.
Yes, we got 2 more big ones. So let's do it.
Let's go.
Lock and load.
Okay, here's your champion, Roshana Boswell.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, congratulations, Roshana. Like I said, she is a great lady. She is, I would say, a real ambassador for the sport in women's bodybuilding. I think she deserved it. She put a lot of work into it. She named names to Coach Eric. I think it's Eric Moss something. I forgot his name. She mentioned also Monique Jones. I'm a big fan of Monique. Actually, in South Carolina next door. I've been trying to get her on the channel for interview, but I know she's busy. Oh, got a man here. Underrated Darkness coming through. Underrated says good afternoon to you and chat. Yeah, good afternoon to you, underrated brother. We've been a long time since we got chop it up. So I hope maybe one day we get a chance to. So like Linda said, she has improved, and I know that she was 40. I thought she was maybe in her, maybe late 30s, but she's 40. That means she's starting to hit her peak now, because just like Andrea, she's already hitting her peak. So now what you think now with Hella not competing this year? You think if she can come in this condition like she did for this show, because she had the same condition for the Olympia or even the Rising Phoenix, and crack the top 3, maybe top 5?
Here's the thing: when it comes to bodybuilding, especially going all the way to Romania, and then you got the Rising Phoenix at the end of the month, so she got plenty of time, because I think it's about 5 weeks out. That's what Tina told me today as we get ready for her prep for the World Championship as well. The biggest thing when I see Roshana is to keep getting harder and tighter and drier. If she can do that, because she has the shapes. She has these crazy shapes like Andrea, and that, I call the blacknetics, so she got them crazy blacknetics. So if she But if she can come in drier, and harder, and it's not necessarily a size game anymore, but keep her as a judge, I would tell her stay on the diet. I've seen that she had a couple chai teas and a few things that she had posted on her IG or whatever, but she come in drier and harder. And it's hard to do that for 3 shows in a row, especially when you got the Master Olympia, the World Championships, and the Olympia. That's a tough ride, but if she's, with her coach and the team behind her who she gave a shout out to, she can do well, and like you said, she's hitting her peak, but it takes a lot of hard work to peak for 3 big shows like this. So I wish her the best of luck, but she has the genetics to do it. But that's going to be up to her and her team to figure out how to get her harder and drier from this show to the next one, and then the next one. So
yeah, that's the tough part because I know some ladies who say that they kind of it takes them maybe the second show before they really start coming in more in condition. Because sometimes that first show it can be a wash, and then they can do at least try to push. Like right now, this is one lady interview. Her name Marika Jones. Marika is about to do, I think, her 6th or 7th show this year. She already did. She did Tampa early this month. Did Atlanta, Chicago. I believe she did St. Louis. She's a physique competitor. She's about to do 6 shows, and I mean that's really tough. I don't. I think for some of the physique competitors, maybe some figure competitors, it might be easy to try to do. Like look at someone like Jessica Medina-Reyes, how she did 3 shows already, and then she has the Olympia coming up, and she might even try to squeeze in another show. Or when last year when Italia was doing 4 or 5 shows, right before the Olympia. I think she did at least 2 after Olympia. And
back in the 90s, they used to do that. Flex and Sean, and that's what they said. These up and comers these days in the 2000s, the 90s, those guys would do that. But they had it down to a science. That's where Ronnie Coleman, with this chase after Flex and Sean and Kevin and those guys said, these guys do 1 or 2 shows where they used to do 6, 7 shows, but guess what? They were trying to stack up that paper, so I ain't mad at them. So it can be done, as long as the science is behind it, and as long as she's willing. I watched Sean Roden do it my rookie season, win Tampa, go to Dallas, and then he won Tampa, Dallas, and something else. But and then went into Olympia and just kind of petered out just because he was still, I think he was still in top 10, but it's just hard to keep peaking for show. So as long as they figure out the science and and what they need to do for her, she can be right there. I mean, because people have done it in the past in the 90s all the time. So, and she, like I said, the biggest thing with Rashana, she has those great genes and genetics to, get better and better if she stays on point with her diet.
Mm-hmm. Next thing is stay on point, not too much fluids, and just, bringing in conditioning. Like most definitely, here's her backside, here's her weakness, like you said before. If she can bring a little more styration in her glutes, that will help out a little more. And maybe just a tinge bit more size. You think maybe just that might help out some?
Yeah, and the biggest thing with the size thing is she has to literally, because my wife's also competing in world championships. She has a 5-week turnaround to try to. I don't know how much size you can put on in 5 weeks. I think at this point in time, it's a matter of her conditioning more than anything. It's not a size thing for her because I don't think you can put that much more size on in a 5-week period. So her if it was me as her coach or or somebody in her team, I'd be like, let's get dry and hard as we can in this next 5 weeks, so we can bring the stank to them at the World Championship. So because I got a client actually going to Master Nationals tomorrow morning and competing Wednesday. And it's and right now it's the science that people don't understand about this sport. It's the science of peaking your athlete at the right time, And so it's one of those things, getting dry and hard as possible. He did the police games in Canada about a month ago. So we're not going to put on much size. We're going to just try to refine what we have and make it better so that he can get that pro card. And the same applies to her as well.
Mm-hmm. You got to hear my man Raheem Hammer says, he says, oh snap, Keith Williams is back. He's excited.
I'm sorry last week I was a little late, scheduling and trying to get on. So I appreciate you, bro. How you doing out there? I thought you were gonna come on the show. Thought he was gonna come on the show.
No, you're right. He was a shit talker. Maybe KL might come on. Because I left folks. I left the.
Hey, don't let him talk to you that way, Rashid. You better get your ass on the show, bro. Don't let him talk to you that way. Come on, we need a third.
It's my show, and as you know, I'm the the king of I am the Lord of the Wall. I am Jon Snow, the Bachelor of Winterfield. I am the Commander of the North. This is my, I'm the guardian. I got the wrong guy because I should have switched to my other guy, but he's right here back in the background. You see the other guy. He is a potential type of criminal, right? But I think size is too much of a very short time to get size because you got the Rising Phoenix, then you have Olympia. Not enough time. Maybe next year if she picks the right show. As you know, we maybe like I said, that Andrea Whitney Jones and Sydney Gillen are putting together the show. And maybe she might compete that show since and also I think this is one thing I think reason why this master show is created because not just for opportunity for competitors who may not get a show by points or by winning, especially older competitors, because I think Rashad is one of the youngest competitors on the list right there. With the oldest was Michelle Brent. Yep. And Michelle was 16th. It's tough. I wish they had invited her on is to the Rising Phoenix. She deserves to be there too, because just as being that she's one of the few women who's been in bodybuilding since I would say the early days. I mean, I think Michelle should get an invite.
Well,
that's just me.
What people have to understand, George, about that, the World Championship, it's not necessarily about an invite; it's about application. It's about did they submit an application and why they want it or why they feel they should be into. It's not like the Wings of Strength picks these girls. These girls all have to apply. So the question is, did she apply? To the show, because people are like, oh well, why didn't she get in the show? Well, it's not like the Arnold invite, and then the Arnold event invite works. The Arnold works as they know the competitors they want to invite, but then if you feel that you want to do that show, you can ask them or have a get a special invitation. So that show's a little different than the Worlds, where actually the girls are picked by application. So like my wife, who's doing the World Championships again, she fills out a form why she wants to do the Worlds, why she thinks she'll be a good representative for women's bodybuilding, etc. So these girls have to really do that, and then they have a selection committee who actually picks the girls who are going to do the Olympia. So I guess that would be the question that we have to pose to her is, did she apply to the World Championship?
Well, I hope she did. I know, I picked her, but I think she deserves that, especially because even to do it for the Olympia, you get an invite to the Olympia. Some guys, you told me some guys didn't take it. I think you took. I think Flex Wheeler didn't take it one time, who was offered, or a couple of guys didn't take it who was offered. But still, I understand. Here is Raheem again saying, he says, "I work at my job 8 to 4." Okay, that's your excuse. That's cool. Okay, but yeah. But as the top 4 of these ladies it was a pretty decent list. I think we go back and I'll pull it up. Now, right here, we have here is Rashana, she took first, second with Barbara Mojen, if I got her name right. Also, you had Virginia Sanchez taking third, Donna Salib at fourth. Seven Mate was fifth, Shara Mears sixth, Jacqueline Fuchs seventh, Vera Muklakova, taking eighth, Leah Dean ninth, Dana Shemesh was 10th, then 11 Tana Huey, 12 Lori Conley, 13 Evangeline Guzman, then Maria Sertagura took 14th, and Marcela Vegas 15, and like I said again, Michelle Brent at the dead last. And and there was supposed to be another lady doing the show, Amy O. Jimenez, and she dropped out. And I know some ladies who I talked to, they really wish they got invited. They feel like because this Amy I did interview Lori a while back, and after she got a pro card, she applied and she got accepted. And I know some of these were talking to was kind of wondering how come these girls who haven't even competed as pros yet, get invited. And I can understand your feeling because you've been competing as a pro for quite a bit, and then somebody who had even competed in a pro show get invited. I say it's about popularity, but I don't think. No offense, I like Lloyd. She's a great lady. I'm really cool with her. I think that should have been a spot for somebody who really deserved it.
My whole thing is I hope, and we all hope that they keep the show around for some time, because the last time they did the Master Olympia, just for men's, it, disappeared. It was, I think the last one was in Florida. So I hope that they keep this around, because again, it gives opportunity for women and for all athletes who are now over 40, because you have all these young rising upcomers, that are, we talked about the last podcast from women's physique or, crossing over to women's bodybuilding, that are a younger generation of girls, that are coming into the women's bodybuilding. So, it just encourages them. And I don't know if you've seen the venue, but it was, wow, it was amazing. The production, again, like I said before, the one thing I can say about Wings of Strength is that they put on amazing production of these shows. And this production that they put on in Romania was absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. I don't know if you watched Jake talk as they were setting the whole thing up, but man, it was gorgeous. So, I can tell you right now that Tina will be competing in the Master Olympia next year if they have it. We've already made that decision. So I'm looking forward to hoping that they continue on with this legacy with this Master Olympia show.
Well, here's the venue. It looks
Beautiful.
It looks nice. I like the lighting's not too nice dark lighting. The lights. It kind of reminds me of the classic, like back in the day, like in the 90s, 80s.
Yeah, at the MGM, it was great, man. I mean, it was beautiful. Like I said, I'm just, this is great, another platform. And I think now that some of these athletes have seen the production of it all and what all went into it, that they're like, man, I really want, I know after we've seen it, and I know we've had this conversation about Tina, that she's definitely doing it next year if they have it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I think also your man Jay Cutler is there. Jay is a legend, a multiple time Mr. Olympia. Also, I think Winterstrom was there. As you know, Alina was the promoter of the show because she's in her own backyard of Romania.
Neil's a legendary judge too. So Neil was there. So it was like I said, you have to, Neil Hill, I think is his name. He was an unbelievable trainer as well in his own right. So having these seminars and I heard the turnout was amazing. So, man, I just hope they keep it going.
Yeah, like I said, it was good because especially I know it's harder for some competitors because the cost of traveling to another side of the world, stuff like that. I know it's hard, but you know what? If you want to get it, you got to try it. I know it's like one lady who interviewed Oksana. She wanted to go to this show, but she did not get her passport. I feel bad for Oksana and her husband Autumn. They wanted to go, but I think the issue because Oksana, even though she lives in America, she's Russian, and and you remember, Romania was once one of the former, Soviet Union's territories, and I don't know, maybe it's issue because she is Russian, and the whole thing with Ukraine. I don't know. I hope it wasn't for that, but she deserved to go, just like any lady.
And here's the thing, we know, and no disrespect to our people here in the United States, but the European following, as far as bodybuilding is concerned, is way bigger than the United States. As far as, fans, participation. Like I said, I remember doing the Nordic Pro years ago, and it was jam-packed. The overseas, it's, in my opinion, that the following for bodybuilding is much bigger in Europe than it is in the United States.
I don't know. But it is, so it might be, but still, I think there's more opportunities here for a lot of. That's why a lot of the foreign competitors come here because there's so few show opportunities for them overseas, and that's why usually some of them come over here and do the shows. We already there. What?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's more opportunities here, but I'm saying as far as the following, as far as the fan base. The fan base, in my opinion, is bigger over there for bodybuilding than it is in the United States. It's more of a niche thing here. Over there, people love bodybuilding over there. Men, women, everything. The shows may not be as big, or they may not have as many shows because, clearly in the United States we have more shows and more competitors. But as far as when you're talking about fan base and and things like that, I think the Europeans, love bodybuilding a little bit more than we do here in the United States. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I'll put a clip of the man himself. I got to do it every time I say his name, Jake Wood. Jake. I want that money. I want that gun. I can't.
And look at the check. I mean, it wasn't a bad. Her bag was 10 racks, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, compared to the other shows, yeah. So we're gonna have Mr. Jake Wood speak for a minute.
Well, here we are, Cluj-Napoca. Finally, today's the day. Setting up the Masters Olympia along with the Amateur Olympia. Looking forward to a great show, and we are on our way, baby. Finally, it's been a long time.
Yeah. That's Mr. Jake Wood, and I say it one more time before I leave out. Jake. I want that money. I want that. Jake. I just want what you got in your pockets, man. I don't need anything. Just give me what you got in your pocket, Jake. I know you got enough that probably pay for my rent, my car insurance, and my light bill and my rent, for the rest of the month. I part in Friday when he says like, I think I see for $1 million, but I take $5. We got here, Raheem. He says this. He says the production and venue can be great, but what about the money? Well, like I said again, this was probably one of the biggest paydays next to the Olympia and the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic for bodybuilding overall. I think it was like total like over $200,000, with the men's open and men's 212 getting $20,000, and all the other divisions getting $10,000. And even second place $5,000, which usually is what you get for first place for some women's shows. And that's pretty good. I mean, one person who did good, who really did good this show is Evie Rain, and she walked away with a grip. I mean, it was more than just about 2 weeks ago when she won at Texas, and then before that she won the Tampa. And counting what she got between Texas, this show in Tampa, she nearly got almost $30,000. That's a good chunk of change for 3 shows compared to most, like especially the women's division, especially women's bodybuilding, physique, wellness, and bikini. That's usually one show for men's open. But I felt like she's gonna win. Yep. Evie has a great physique. There's debate that she might need to consider going women's bodybuilding, but she said she didn't want to get any bigger. She likes to say feminine. She want to keep her lines.
Yep, makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, and also this is Caroline dos Santos, who took second in the show. They're both Brazilian, so they were both top 2. It was a battle between 2 Brazilians, and she already got a qualification, just like like Evie. She's qualified at Portugal. And then you had the lovely Miss Candice Carr. She'd been competing for a long time. She took third. Then the lovely Miss Robin Mays, who I think she took, I believe she's, let me check. We're here in the Robin Mays was, Miss Robin Mays took 11th. Candice Carr took 10th. So, and the other top 5, like your girl Heather Gray, she's 3rd. Joanna Romero was 4th. Susan Graham, who I've been talking to on social media a bit, I hope we get an interview sometime soon, she took 5th. Stephanie Fredrickson took 6th. Alindi Opera took 7th. Maria Queen Lieberman took 8th. Suzanne Davis took 9th. Candice took 10th. Robin took 11th. Bridget, she took 12th. Tyler Chartrand took 13th. Natalie Thompson took 14th. 15th was Utah, and Lorna Grayson took 16th. And I think Lorna Grayson, this upcoming weekend is the Masters show. And I think she's gonna probably compete at that show because she has done it pretty good in the past. But this is pretty impressive lineup. I interviewed Mr. Chartrand, also Miss Robin, and also a couple of ladies who competed at the show. We had some returns. Some ladies hadn't competed in a long time, like especially in women's bodybuilding. You had Dana Shamish, who hadn't competed since I think 2020, and then Joanna Romero, who hadn't competed in almost maybe a good 4 or 5 years. You think you're gonna see a lot more of these ladies now with the Masters coming out of retirement, and come compete.
I think after they've seen this show, and now knowing what the show is about, even though it's Olympia, so we know it's about, but the venue, the bag, and things like that with the prize money and stuff like that. I think that some women, feel that they still got something in the tank, and so I know, like I said, me and Tina watching the results, lit a fire under her. Like I said, the people like, why didn't she do it this year? Well, the transition between coaches, not having enough time, it just wasn't in the cards. And John Smith is her new coach. So he wants Tina to peak at the Worlds, and so do I. So next year, now knowing what Tina's body can do and knowing what the venue, like people like Tina, and I know you have talked about this in the past. She's excited to do this show if they keep it up and have it again next year.
Well, we hope to see her come back because I know she was debating on doing it because she wasn't sure about the age. One point it was going to be 45 and over, but then I think they said that they had enough people that were applying for it, so they dropped it down to 40. And that's why when I saw that Rashana was in it, because I said, Rashana's 40? I didn't think she was 40. I thought she was maybe, I would say like about 38, 36, maybe. I didn't think she was more close to her early 30s than to her early 40s. That's what I thought. But she applied and she came in. I think you're gonna see someone like maybe, Andrea could do it if she wanted. But I think she's more focused on the Rising Phoenix in Olympia.
And it's kind of confusing because you have this situation where you have the Master Olympia and you have the Master Olympia and you have the Olympia, and so it's one of those things where I thought it was a debate. Well, if you got somebody 40, like it's like if you're Dexter Jackson or you're some of these guys who are like right there on the cusp, can you do both shows or can you do one show? That was the question that I think they were having in this discussion. So that's what it boiled down to. It's like if they do the Master Olympia, can they? So Boswell's qualified for winning this show to the Olympia, correct?
Yeah. This is still a qualification for the Olympia.
So it's only the person who wins the show, though, right?
Yeah, all the winners who won the divisions with like I said, with Ivy Rain and people like Jessica, Padilla Reyes, they already qualified, but they just pretty much just won prize money. Your man Heidi, he's qualified. A couple other people who have one of the classes have qualified. That's how it works because the point system is gone. So if you can't go off by points. I know your wife's still pissed by the time she missed it by 1 point. It's like it's like Hammer that saw this one hit.
Hey, the girl who won it is the girl who bumped her out. Rashana's the one who bumped her out. So kudos to her, and we're proud for Rashana, because she's a good girl, and deserving to win. But again, we coming next year. They have it next year. Miss Williams is coming for the going to the Olympia. But somebody like Andrea wouldn't do it. You're not gonna, you're not, as I used to tell Dexter, quit stealing money from us peasants. Dexter, quit stealing money from us peasants. You're gonna win. You got enough money, and you already qualified for the Olympia. So quit stealing money.
Yeah, that's how I talked about when Natalia Correa was doing like six shows last year. And I was talking with Robert Meads about it. So it's about being competitive, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, you're already qualified for the Olympia. You know, I know what you're doing is just knocking out competition. You know, but there you go. You get it. You already qualified. Yeah, you already qualified for the Olympia. All you're doing is just trimming down the competition a bit. That's what you're doing, and you're taking some checks. You go into one show where you go in another country where you don't get that much. I mean, I understand you want to be competitive, but now when you like people, this is I'm gonna point out this: people who already get your qualification, step back. I know you want to make some money for yourself. I understand there's not a lot of problems, especially for the women's division. It's not a lot of prize money, and that's why you try to do many shows you can to make a little, to get some, a little change for yourself.
Think about it. I mean, Micaiah won $2,000, and Mashana just won 10.
Just like my man Keith. Yeah. Oh, here he goes. Yeah, I can. Yeah, because Michaela, $2,000. That's not. But the thing is, she lives in Florida. That's not too much out of the way for her. Maybe just a few dollars in gas and maybe a place to stay while she's at the venue.
When you looked at Romania, how much was it cost to fly over there? Like 18. Well, and like Tina said, she looked at the Romania flights. They were like $1,800. So they weren't too bad.
Yeah, but then you got to think about you got to find a place to stay. Then food and cost and everything.
$1,800 to fly over there.
Yeah, and you might have to spend another 1,000 or so just to yeah. So and then it'd be better if you could do this and you could afford to do it. Try to go out there maybe a week or two.
And like Tina just said.
What?
Yeah, because Rashana said she came out there a few days early? That's it, huh?
Yeah, I think a few days early.
Yeah, she got there Thursday and competed Saturday, Tina said.
Yeah. So, because I remember when if you got a call, Yeah.
Oh, that's Miss Williams.
Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, but remember, it was that year when Tisha Thomas, I think that was the first year when they had the Romania show. She flew out there maybe a day or two, and she had a nasty. Because if you watch her documentary, "Eye and the Tigers," she had a nasty case of jet lag, and sometimes that can affect your conditioning. Like I remember the two girls from Brazil, they were kind of off at the Olympia, Arsenio and Lavinia, compared to when they competed last. When Barrito competed at the Romanian and the Europa show, she looked great. But then at the Olympia, she was a bit off because she's come from Brazil to the States, and Lavinia just did that show in Brazil, and she looked great in Brazil, but then she just kind of looked a little bit not as tight she was because she took 15 behind Donna Salee.
Okay, because well, and that's what we talked about earlier when I did the Nordic Pro or guys go over to do the Arnold Classic in Australia. You got to go over there a little early because the water retention. That's the biggest thing is the water retention. Sounds good. Jet lag and time and all that stuff as well, but the biggest thing is water retention and getting there and getting that water out of your body and all that stuff and just adjusting to the time zone, etc. You know what I'm saying? So, people don't understand. The one thing that people have to understand about the sport that we compete in, it's a science. It's all a science. It's not. So people hear, I eat chicken breast and rice all day long and broccoli. Well, that's fucking part of your problem because that's not how this sport works. The proteins and the water, and everything's a science. Water gets cut off, things get cut off, and certain things get cut off because of the science behind it. So like you said, getting out there, Boswell got what she was out there 2-3 days earlier, but maybe should have been a little bit drier or should have got out there a week earlier. But again, clearly it didn't matter. So.
Yeah, but we're going to say congratulations to my man's buddy here, Hideki, and we're going to speak up Hideki for a minute. And congratulations, Hideki. I think it's been a while since he last competed. And amazing. I think this guy got to be in his 50s, and he looks pretty good for a man.
Yeah.
I mean,
He does have the Miss Iris Kyle in his corner helping him train, so that's not a bad person in your corner to have.
yeah.
I know there are a couple.
Yeah, this is another one of the gentlemen. I don't know his name. He looks like he could be also Japanese Chinese. He looks pretty good. This dude looked back. He might be a little bit bloated in the midsection. He looks pretty good at top, but then he just looked a little off.
That's David Henry.
Uh-huh.
That's David Henry.
Yeah. And this gentleman here with the flavor saver.
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
It must be. They'll have the some of the in order. It's probably just Let me check something real quick, and I think I can probably see who he is. See, it's Men's 212. Hideki here. It's a name that I cannot speak because it's kind of it's very long and very foreign. So I'm not gonna speak it. I just gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna get the wrong guy, but anyway, it's just he did pretty good for himself, and it's like I said, it's a tough lineup. Being a man in this sport. I don't talk about the guys as much because my channel is focused on the ladies because I like the ladies. So,
Like the ladies.
Yeah, I'm like, it may not be the 80s, but I'm down with the ladies. But here we go. We'll give a little speech from Mr. Hideki. We give him his spotlight on here.
Here in Romania, it's a wrap. 212 champion, Masters Olympia. Yes, Masters Olympia, Masters. Hide Yamagishi. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's I just told you it feels crazy, but to be honest with you, I mean, I would be happy if I made top 10 this time. I wouldn't expect all of this, but first of all, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you all these arena promoters, everyone making this happen. 11 years absence. Then the Masters came back. The news came in, and I was really, I thought I was done with competing. So, but Iris was the one really persuaded me, and but still, I felt because I didn't think I was gonna be this. I mean, I really didn't feel like I'm good enough. So physique-wise, all the shoulder injury, and I had struggle. Yeah, so like last 10 years, even I was competing, it was kind of struggling. Then, to be honest, I didn't want to do this anymore. Right? Like I always loved bodybuilding training, but this pain and dieting, you know how it is.
Yes.
Right? I was afraid to come back, but everything went. Actually, this is the easiest prep in my 18 years pro.
Yeah, I talked to Iris and she said that to me.
Yeah, I didn't even start cardio 2 weeks out. So no cardio, and a diet was easy. So, I mean, it's all because of Iris and all this team. I was professional. All I was done was bodybuilding when I was competing. But now I have business, and this like taught me a lot. First, family business, then second, third, bodybuilding. It was totally opposite back then, but now I can make it happen. So I feel like I can just keep competing,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I guarantee this is not the only, the opportunity I compete. I will just keep coming back.
Yeah. You were the sharpest on stage. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I knew I didn't want, I wasn't the biggest one. So, I mean, always I make sure I bring my condition, better than everyone. But I guess I did this time.
Yeah, you definitely did it. You are the first Mr. Olympia Masters 212.
Yeah, I got something Olympia. So I mean, I won Arnold 212, but now I have Masters.
The first.
It's Olympia title.
Yeah.
Which Iris did how many?
I know. So Iris, come in. Come in. Here's it.
Yeah, Linda, you did 8 times, and
Yeah, and Iris,
I got
11.
yeah,
11.
yeah, 11. Yeah, I got at least one.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. Come and join in. So that was my first thought. Because for me, the title is everything. It's not even about the money. You know what I mean? It's about that title. Then I sat there and I thought, okay, he's got one. So Iris, I was like, was there some kind of like in the household? It's like, so tell me.
Right, yeah. So Iris was, kept telling me, she kept telling me, okay, you gotta have Olympia title. I wasn't really thinking about it, but now I have Olympia title, Arnold title, so that's crazy.
Yeah, that's great. Both of you have Olympia and Arnold title.
So now our gym is something. We have Olympia, right?
Yeah. I'm sure.
He's so he's one of a kind. I mean, I'm talking about speechless all around the block, meaning that he's very passionate, he's loving, he's friendly, he's a people person, and he's a hard worker, he's a sportsman, and I can't say a bad thing about him. He's everything that you want to be in your space.
Oh wow, that's great. That's great. And so I'm so very happy for you guys. Really happy for you, Hide. Congratulations. Welcome, Mr. Olympia. Nice, right? That's worth it. It put chills in me.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys. And it's a wrap.
Yeah. Well, to Mr. Hide, we like to say "Dome arigato," in his language of Japanese. He put in the time and the work, and he deserves it. I mean, he's a legend. He's been competing in nearly 20 years. His first Olympia title, even though somebody say it's not the Olympia, but still, as long as it has the Olympia name on it, it's Olympia. It's like my man Keith said, apples and oranges. That's all you really comparing it to. Yeah. We lost Keith, and we got to hear. Oh no, the troublemaker.
Hey, what's up, hater?
I'll be the hater. I'll be that. Yeah, I'll be that. We got a man here. Y'all know him, and that is KL the Wanderer.
KLA.
KLA. Okay, KLA. I forgot the A part. Okay, excuse me. We was lost my man Big Keith. I think something must have happened. He might have went to the house.
Oh, you was with her? Oh, he was with you today?
Yeah, he was with me. Here we go. He just came back.
Okay.
Yeah, we got another guy coming here. He just came in.
Hey, what's up, Big Keith?
What up? What up?
Yeah.
Right.
He came around here to hate, so he can't hate no more.
I ain't got nothing else to do, so.
Yeah, that's me either. All three of us got nothing else to do. We broke, take no jobs. Keith working.
Well, I'm working. I'm working, so.
You working?
But
you got a woman. You working? I don't got nothing. So I should be judging that. Forget y'all too. Forget y'all. Y'all forget. But anyway, we said congratulations to Hideki. He did pretty good. I mean, hold his own, competing as long as he have. He, and people say this. Oh, it's not the OO title he got, but it's still an Olympia title. As long as you see that O in that picture of Joe Weider, it's an Olympia title. But how do you think he's going to fare, in your opinion, in the main Olympia?
Are you talking about Hidetaka?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different monster there, boy. Women, because here's the thing. Women, when it comes to the Olympia, like, look at all the women who, if you really take the average out the age for the Olympia and the Worlds, the average women's age is probably in the mid-30s, early 40s. But, like I said earlier in the beginning of our cast, George, it's a different monster when you go into the open class. Even for the women, even for Rashana, and for the men, it's tough. So, Hidetaka, he's a great poser. He, he has Iris in his corner, who is one of the hardest working women, and was one of the hardest working women in bodybuilding. And even guys will tell you, that woman will win an Olympia title and be at the gym that night or the next day, because that's just, and her workouts are brutal. So her being in his corner and him being healthy, I would say top 50. It depends how many. Again, depends how many guys. We're not going off the point system. How many guys are in that class? But I would say, for him, his goal would be, like he said, even in this show, he didn't think, maybe top 10. So I would say, I would put him in the bottom tier of that 212 class, because age plays a factor. That's why they have now brought back the Master Olympia, because, as we call them, these new young guns, these Nick Walkers and all these, Samson and all these guys, and these open and, 212 class, it's tough. So, yeah, does he have the muscle maturity? Absolutely. But, you got these young bucks coming up. So I would say I would put him in the top 12, maybe.
I think that's a good synopsis of you, sir. Because especially if you don't have that fullness and greenness, because with being younger, your skin's more tighter. When you get older, you're not as elastic. You don't have a lot of elasticity in your skin anymore like you used to. It can be tough. I like Donna Sleeve. I think she's a great lady. That's one thing is she does have those issues because she had a kid, and also she's not going to have that same level compared to Rashana or Michaela or Julia Foray, or even you get someone like Jay Fuchs. Jay, she looked all right. I felt like she probably could have made the top 5, but Virginia looked pretty good.
But
And
again, we're saying, like Jerry, is the Worlds this weekend? When's the World, or was that when was the World? The World Championships. But I mean, look at the bag. I'm like, you're putting a world, like the Women's World Championships. There's a big goddamn bag at the end of that. Like I told Tina, I said, you got 50,000 reasons to eat fish. 50,000. You got 50,000 in a brand new car. Shit, let's keep it 100. So. But when it comes to again, that's what we were talking about earlier, George. The United States versus Europe. You have the Master Worlds, but what's the prize money? What, Gary? What you offering up for prize money? That'd be another show that would be a great turnout for athletes to have the World Championships, Master Worlds here in the United States, and the Master Olympia. And again, at the end of the day, this weekend is the Master. I'm sending a client there tomorrow. The Masters Championships, along with I think it is this weekend. The World.
I think you have the Master Championships and also the North Americans.
Yeah, so you got all that, and you got all these master classes, and some like Hida Tada. This gives them an opportunity because some people like Hida Tada said, "I didn't know if I had anything left in the tank." Iris challenged them, and guess what? So it creates another avenue for these guys and gals and all these competitors to be at over 40 and be able to still go on stage and compete and make some money out of it. So I love the idea. Absolutely love this idea of what they're doing. I hope that Gary takes something from Wings of Strength. I don't know if he got that kind of money like
Jake,
our guy Jake.
Jake,
Jake, let me borrow $1,000, Jake. Let me borrow $1,000. How much money you got in your pocket, Jake?
Just give me what you got in your pocket, Jake. Just give me what you got in your pocket. That's all right.
Just give me the change, dog. Just give me the change.
Just give take for your bed. That's enough to take care of me for a whole week.
He's a billionaire.
Yes, Jake Wood's a billionaire.
Oh,
Whole family money. That money's continuous, unless because that's money. As long whatever his his great grandfather somebody made, is still making money off of it. You're still getting residuals from it.
Airplane wing or something. It was like an airplane wing or something.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like with the Hilton family. Paris Hilton. Even though somebody owns the Hilton hotels, they still get a residual because they use the name.
right.
That's status continuous wealth that us black people can't get because we want property like that. But that's another side of the point. But I think he's gonna do pretty good. It's gonna be tough, especially dealing with guys who are in their 20s, 30s coming in conditioning. And also with women, it's like your wife can testify to this, that it's tough for y'all ladies because you got someone like Michaela or someone like the new girl who just got a pro card at Chicago, Taylor Iragi, or a couple other girls who like coming in this show like and they're still young, still fresh, or like my man Jerome from Martin used to say like to Cole's like wet behind the ears and breast smell like Similac, you know.
Hey, my ass. I'm 50. My ass ain't trying to get on stage with Nick Walker and those cats no more. Shit, I did that in Chicago Pro in Atlanta. I'm like, shit. I said, now that they've got these avenues, shit, I'm thinking about coming out of retirement too. I told
Hey,
somebody that now.
hey,
You know,
you could go over there and do the either you do the Masters, Tim Gardner, he has the Master Show. This is what they could do with the Master Show. You can stick it in between the amateur show and the open show. You can have all the competitors who want to compete, who are over 40, compete in the Masters part, and then the next day they compete in the open part. But
yeah.
the reason why they
I
did it
think
this way because
I think with the venues, like the way they did this, it's a great opportunity to have that show over there because think about it, they do a lot of shows. I think Alina has 3 or 4 shows in Romania now that Jake is backing her on. So
mhm.
it's a great opportunity. I mean, I'm looking forward to next year, Tina going over there and possibly myself going over there and compete. So, I think that'll be our vacation.
Yeah, because she has the Arena Muscle Fest. She started that like about 4 or 5 years ago. There's a show called Valhalla. It's a regional show, but I bet you eventually it's gonna be a pro am show. And then you
Yep.
have with this the Masters Pro. This also that same week was the Eastern European Olympia, which is an amateur show. I talked to a couple of young ladies who are interviewed at that show. They didn't get their pro card in women's bodybuilding. This is something I want to talk about real quick, folks. While we're here, there's something about this. They have the Eastern European um, Olympia amateurs. We get your qualification, and two ladies that interviewed a while back, Issa and Natalie competed at the show, and I was hoping to get pro cards, but they didn't. But this is something I'm going to speak on real quick on this. There was this one lady who she was double dipping, and you do it in the amateurs. You compete in both divisions. You compete in physique or bodybuilding, or you can do figure in physique. It's about where you want to place. She, this lady here, she won both in women's bodybuilding and women's physique. And I'm gonna pull up a picture here right quick. Y'all going to check her out. We'll get the interview so get her name because I don't know how to say it because I'm from the South. I can't say certain names because it's kind of it's tongue tied. But here she won both pro cards in women's bodybuilding and women's physique. And this is what we're talking about. Where is the guidelines where she can win in
Exactly.
one?
It's so effing frustrating. Again,
Carolina
you
con
should
Sedroska.
be able to go into a show and with 2 protocol because there's no line. There's no damn line. There's no line of okay. How are you able to win both classes?
It's
Think
just
about
like
it.
I said. She has a great physique. I know she has a great physique. We'll give her a talk a little bit here, and because Linda talked to her.
Here at the Amateur Olympia, and we have a new women's physique pro, Caroline.
Karolina Koncedrowska from Poland.
Con
Welcome,
Sedroska.
welcome to the IFBB Pro League.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. This is dream come true. Need. I don't think about it. This is when you go to the gym, go to the work every day, do the cardio. You love this, but sometimes you don't have money. You don't have you know strong, but you love it, and
But you love it. But you love it.
yes.
Yeah.
And I must say this is I'm here thanks my coach Sebastian. So yeah, this is the best coach.
He's the best coach. He's stay right here with me.
He's the best coach.
She's saying you're the best coach.
And the best friend.
Thanks.
You can speak in your language too. Speak in your language.
Okay, I a little bit speak English. And, Carolina is hard worker. Is every single day working hard.
You know, this
But this is the father.
father today for success. You know.
Oh right, I understand.
You must-
Because he's in charge.
Uh,
Is that why you say? Is that why you say he's the father?
No, this father, but father my success, and you know, you must have good coach when you go to the competition. You know, you have support.
You have support. I understand. I understand. Congratulations. Amazing condition.
It's Carolina working. It's been clean all the year. Train very hard. 100% sacrifice.
Every day, but I love it. I love it. Clean food. I love it. Chicken, rice.
Yes, yes.
I love it. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
I don't need it pizza, hamburger, or anything. I need just my clean food because you work hard every day and you don't want to lose this.
Yes. So, guys, you hear that? You have plenty of time for cheeseburgers and donuts. Follow Caroline. Do what she's.
Love bodybuilding. Just love bodybuilding.
We after competition with chicken and rice. She's love it.
And today it's the same. The same.
Well, guys, we have it. Our new IFBB Pro Women's Physique Champion, Caroline.
Konstadrowska from Poland. We from Poland.
Konstadrowska. I'm like I said, she has a nice physique. I'm not gonna lie about that. She has a good physique, but like I
should she
said,
be able to win 2 classes? That's the question.
yeah, because
I remember somebody told me about that. Like,
Yeah,
I was. Now, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You saying?
No, I was saying, like, I remember, like, I was interviewing somebody and they was telling me that in Europe they can have like 2 classes and stuff like that.
Well, they do have that anyway here in the States.
Yeah.
Competitors, amateurs can double dip. They can both compete in, like, I know somebody who I did an interview with, that Heather Tillery both interviewed. She competed in figure and physique at the North Americans last year, and she earned her pro card in figure. I know some other ladies who double dip. You can double dip, but it's like, you're wondering what's the guidelines where, like I said, her physique's not too bad. I ain't gonna lie. She has a great physique.
That's the problem, though. It's like you can double dip, that's fine, but then again, here's the thing: a defensive back, unless he gains a shit ton of weight, can't play defensive line.
Yeah, you can't be a place kicker, but sometimes be a quarterback, but still, you usually keep him as a kicker. But it's just ladies impressive here. There's one lady I saw, AJ, right here, right beside, on the other side of Carolina. She has killer abs. I mean, I've seen her post stuff on social media. Her right here, I forgot her name. I'll probably pull it up, but I might even reach out to her for an interview because she speaks English pretty good. And it's not. I have done interviews with ladies who have a little accent. I just did an interview last Saturday with Lena Batekin, who is from Ukraine. And she has an accent. She kind of looked like, my man. Okay, I saw her video, my interview. She kind of looks like how Rolando called her the woman.
Nah, she don't look like her. She don't look. It's Rolando funny. I think the hairstyle. She looked prettier than. She almost looked like that chick from Rocky IV.
You mean
I forgot her name. Flavor Flav was messing with her at one point.
Colette Nielsen.
Yeah.
Remember, she was married to Sylvester Stallone.
I don't know. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They had a relationship. Yeah. That's right.
yeah. But she was married
She
first.
looked a little bit. She looked a little bit like her. But the other chick from Rolando, sometimes he be tripping me out. It's like he wanna. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, but like, what you say? What you about to say, Keith? Keith, can you hear me?
Nah, I think
He's
his
on mute right now.
phone is mute. Yeah.
He's talking to his wife right now. But yeah, this is where this happened at the Romania Muscle Fest last year. It happened when there was a woman that won both in women's bodybuilding and women's physique. And I know that you can double dip. That's your right to as an amateur, but the judges are supposed to look for, like, I remember where I put a video. It's on my IG with, I think I can pull it up. Let me go find it where Lena talked about the differences. Let me pull it up. I think I can find it on my IG, and it's when Lena talked about the differences, or I think, let me see, it's somewhere here. I think I put it on. Did I put it on my IG or no? I put it on my YouTube channel. Let me go to my YouTube channel and pull it up. And how she talked about the difference between bodybuilding and physique, and it's just, the thing is, like I said, I'm gonna say again, she has a great physique, but she looks more close to physique than women's bodybuilding. She doesn't
Exactly.
have.
And as a judge, when we sit down in these rooms, especially when women's physique first came out, as this judge, there was a line. And again, that's when, and here lies the problem, George and Kai. Bottom line, at the end of the day, when they got rid of women's bodybuilding and brought in women's physique, we knew what we were looking at. Now they brought back women's bodybuilding, and now you have women's physique. I know what I want to see as a women's, it's just like, George, remember when we did the podcast and we showed the girls, I think it was Tampa, the two physique girls and the two bodybuilding girls, and we really couldn't tell the difference between the two,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things like, should a women's physique competitor have the striations in their glutes that a women's bodybuilder has, and, and have as much muscle as a bodybuilder woman? I don't think so. But if you don't distinguish that's that gray area, and that's that bullshit, by no offense and all the IFBB, when it comes to that gray area. You have to sit down, Sandy, Jim, Tyler, Steve, whoever is on these boards, and say, okay, this is what we're looking for. It's just like, talking to a particular coach and saying, girl, everybody keeps saying that, I think it was the Christina Mendoza girl could possibly knock out Andrea. No, they know when Andrea Shaw steps on stage, what Andrea Shaw is bringing to the table. And it was a quote once saying when Jay was chasing Ronnie, when Kai was chasing, or when Kai was chasing Phil, when Flex was chasing Ronnie, etc., that you want to beat the champ, you got to knock the champ the hell out. It can't be close. You got to knock him out, because they're always going to give it to the champ. Even if the champ's a little off and you just don't knock him out. And guess what? Jay didn't beat, Ronnie until Ronnie was at his 8th Olympia. You know what I'm saying? And Phil didn't lose to Sean until Phil was I think at the 6th or 7th. So, Father Time catches up with us all when it comes to that stuff. But again, when we're talking about this particular subject, it's a line saying, okay, this is again, I've been a pro for 13 years, 14. I've never seen rules to this. NFL, PA, UFC, USA track and field. There's rules to what we do. There's rules, and there's guidelines to certain things we can do and certain things we can't do. I've never seen a rule when it comes to the IFBB, a book, or that you hear him talk about it. You hear him say it in seminars, but then it's contradictory to what you see when they start judging them and when they're on stage. And again, the problem with that is the NFLPA, the MLB, the NBA, USA Track and Field, they all have these annual meetings saying, okay, this year, roughing the passer is this. This year, pass interference is called this. This year, that. And they change rules according to what's going on in the sport. They don't do that in our sport. So there's no clear cut line of what women's physique is, what women's, now men is different. Classic physique, 212 is a 212, open is the open, and guys at 212 who usually go to the open, like Derek, who was I think second last year at the Olympia, who moved up from 212. That's a size thing. That's a weight thing at that point in time. That's a weight.
Yeah,
They don't. It's guys trying to make weight and they can't make it, so they go into the open because they're just tired of suffering.
Yeah, because they just heard this from Tanya Mean. He just did this earlier this month, and I know that they changed the criteria for men's classic this year. And I remember I was talking with Keith Holmes, that's Steffi's Holmes' husband, that how they changed it because he's 6 foot tall, and they changed him. They try to align with his height and with his weight, and they said also after this Olympia, they changed the requirements for men's physique. But that's why the thing we're talking about, would that same requirement affect women's physique and women's bodybuilding? We're gonna pull up this video of the lovely Miss Selena, who and she gives her thoughts. What is difference between women's bodybuilding and physique? It's a great interview. I enjoyed it. Hope y'all liked it.
Competitors divisions, they have grown, right? Each year girls are getting bigger, bringing more muscularity. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to say the difference between figure and physique or physique and bodybuilding. But what a judge is looking for physique, you need to bring thick conditioning, striations, like dryness, and that's a very, very like hard job to do, especially when you're getting older, right? But for women's bodybuilding, judges looking for more curves, for more fullness in the muscle, for more roundness, for bubblier overall look, and that look that, in my own opinion, gives more feminine look to a competitor, to an athlete. That's why I was just like looking at Andrea Shaw, how gorgeous she looks on the stage, and just it is gorgeous. It's just absolutely mind blowing, and it's beautiful.
Well, she just mentioned my future ex-wife, Andrea Shaw, and Andrea does have. She's like I keep saying this again. It's like the movie The Fifth Element. If everybody remember the movie,
she's
Fifth
perfect.
Element. Yes,
she is perfect. You're absolutely right.
She's perfect, and it's just like you look at this is what debate where when look at over physique, how when we started out they had Danielle Bailey, and she was already pretty good, but then she was kind of chunky, in some aspects. But then then they brought in Julie McCarr. She was dominant she has the most physique wins with 4. Then came Shanique, and Shanique had that look like she was like in the mold of Julie McCarr. But then they kind of flipped when they went with Sarah Vilgas, and Sarah looked more like maybe early women's bodybuilding, maybe like sort of like maybe about like at Iris this level.
Yep.
That's how she looked. So I thought they were going to pull away from that.
That's why they got rid of women's bodybuilding, because of Iris. Let's keep it honest. Let's keep it 100. They got rid of women's bodybuilding because they were tired of that super. And here, remember your girl? Who's the girl with the blonde? She got hurt on the scooter.
Oh, you mean Alicia Young?
Alicia Young. When Alicia Young went to Omaha, they said when they were about to get rid of bodybuilding, she should have won that show, but she was too hard, and they didn't want that look. But guess what? That's the look we're looking at right now. So what's the difference?
Then you look at Natalia Cuejo. Natalia, she has gotten like I got a friend. I know you know her, Alicia. Massa. She lives in Florida. She ran into Natalia at an event, and she said, "This girl has got George. This George has gotten really big," because she hugged her, and she realized how big. Because Natalia's been competing since she was a teenager, and she's not even. And she's another one who's not even 30 yet. I think Natalia maybe about 28, maybe. And look, how her shoulders. She has one thing that saves give that saving grace is that small tapered in waist.
Yep.
They did a guy who I follow. His name is Max Muscle. I used to follow him because he did comparisons about the men, and then he started doing a women's only Wednesday. He stopped doing it because the fact was, the guys who was following stopped following because they liked him using women's bodybuilding physique competitors. They didn't have a problem when he used bikini or wellness, but then he had an issue when he was using the other more muscular divisions. But he did a while back. He did a comparison video between Andrea and Natalia. Now, Natalia could probably beat Andrea at some points with conditioning, but other points, Andrea is a lot stronger at than Natalia. Overall size, that fullness, that graininess, she'll beat Natalia. But Natalia will beat her in conditioning and that more tapering weights. But the thing is, those are that separates. That's supposed to be the guidelines that separate the two divisions. We got here a man, Lawrence Perkins. He just says, good afternoon, George, Keith, and everyone on the chat. Good afternoon, Lawrence. Thank you. Also, a man, Raheem Hamilton. He just came through. He must just got off work. It's already about 4:30. What you guys talking about now? Got back on. Well, Raheem, we talked about there was a lady. Her name is Carolina. She just won her pro card at the Eastern European Amateur Show over there in Romania. And she won in both women's bodybuilding and women's physique. And we're talking about where is the, like I was saying, the one lady who competed at the show, Issa. Let me see if I can find the video because she's been competing for a good while. She's a Brazilian, cool lady. She one point I was telling her one time we did an interview. She should have did the Romania Muscle Fest. But she said she was really focused on another show because she did some shows. There wasn't enough competitors, and she was the only female bodybuilder. And Issa's from Brazil. She lives in Denmark with her husband, Henri. Cool people, great people. I respected them. But she just, I think she kind of, if she can bring her condition a little better, she can probably do pretty good.
I mean, this is an ongoing conversation, George, that we've had for a long time. Here's the thing. How many girls have we seen in the, Maya literally went from Louisiana placing dead last to go into the Tampa or the New York Pro and winning it. And I was like, is it really that close between the two classes? And again, that is in my opinion the responsibility of the IFBB and the NPC, which are two separate entities but the same, for them to create these guidelines for, it's like the amateurs. You know what I'm saying? The amateurs go into these shows, and then all of a sudden, I get people get bigger. I mean, people like 212 guys. Derek Langford went from winning the 212. Going the next year, coming in second in the open. I get it because it's a weight and a size thing. If you can put on the mass and you can put on the size, just like earlier in our conversation that we were talking about Boswell, I get it. But it's this gray area that I'm really just don't like as a judge and knowing what we're supposed to be looking at. It's like now you got wellness and now you got bikini. How are we looking at that? Because that's going to eventually become a topic of conversation as well. Mm-hmm. Because, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, a classic. Here's the thing. This is the difference, George. A classic physique guy couldn't go into, or maybe he could Chris Bumstead go into open bodybuilding and win? No. Because his look is a completely different look than an open bodybuilder. Now, what's the difference between a 212 and an open? Because a 212 guy is shorter, more, maybe shorter and smaller. And most of those guys are under 212. But when it comes to some of these other classes that we're talking about, the women, it's like, that's what we were talking about earlier. They should have a tall and a short class for women's bodybuilding. They should, because, you got people like Tina and some other Irene that are like 5'9" or taller, competing against a 4'5", 4'6", 4'7" girl. The shorter girl is always going to have the advantage because they're, we're talking about quad, lane, waist to lat ratio, all kinds of different stuff, so it just comes down to the IFBB and the NPC saying, these are the rules, these are the guidelines. You want to know what you need besides a weight, what you need to do to come into these things. Because George, you had the best example, I think it was our 2 podcasts ago, when you showed 2 girls from physique or from women's physique and 2 girls from bodybuilding. And we're looking at them all. Remember at the Tampa Pro, taking that picture, we didn't know who was who.
Yeah, I think it was talking about, I believe it was.
Wasn't it the girl you just seen that won the Master Olympia?
Ivy Rain, and I believe it was, who was it? Was it Evie and who was it? It was Evie and I'm trying to remember that picture.
But then the girl from Brazil just won the Master Olympia. Didn't she win 10?
It was Evie and Teresa.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they both had that. If you ever seen Evie train, I seen she has a huge back, wide back, big shoulders, just like Teresa. They both have small, slender legs. They don't have a lot of size in their legs. Evie and Teresa, if you put them side to side, I might do this. I might later on. I might do a comparison video between them because Evie, she does sometimes she does the like. We need to talk about this. Because the physique girls doing their poses are doing the front and rear lat spread poses.
Yeah,
they're supposed to do that. I've seen Emily Sherbert done it. I've seen a couple of girls doing it. That's why when I do a crossover, I can cross over a physique girl. One thing only that changes is the how they do their hands in the front doubles, in the rear doubles.
Well, and here lies the problem, because for years, for a couple of years before Tina, my wife went into women's bodybuilding. She was a women's physique competitor and was scared to go into women's bodybuilding because she didn't think she had the size. But when she would go to North Americans, she was so much bigger than the women's physique girls that she wasn't winning. She was second, third, national, she was fourth, because she was just bigger than the other girls. Now that we come full circle, now it really don't matter. It really don't matter. That's when women's bodybuilding was on the outskirts, and this was just women's physique. So at that point in time, you had girls at the North Americans doing not bodybuilding, because bodybuilding was non-existent. You had them doing figure and doing women's physique. And if they didn't win in women's figure, they were going to women's physique at the same show, like you just pulled up the example of the girl who just won 2 classes, and winning in women's physique. It's like, how is that possible? Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. That time you had because my wife was a prime example of girls who went from women's figure, came over, because you can cross over, to women's physique and beating her, because that's the look that they wanted, and she had more of a bodybuilder's look, but us not realizing that she was more of a bodybuilder than a women's physique competitor. But now we come full circle, and it really doesn't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like the IFBB contradicts themselves so much sometimes, and I'm in the club, I get it, but it just, think about if it's confusing for me and I'm a pro, think about for the common person to look out there, scratch their head like, I really don't understand what the difference
is. That's me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, crazy, right? Kale, he's more of a fan of women of muscle, but not as much.
That's me. That's me. I've been telling him, what's the difference? What's the difference? I don't see it. Like, and then I kept like watching his stuff, and probably I gained a bit more, but before it's like I didn't know the difference. Like, it's just muscle women, they look pretty, and that's it. Like,
I will say this. I will say that and there's no disrespect to a lot of the women bodybuilders out there, the women's physique competitors are more feminine looking than some of the women bodybuilders, kinda, but that's about it. But
Yeah.
that's because they haven't, they probably went from women's figure to women's physique, and now some of these girls like Maya, who are too big, and some of these other girls that you're seeing crossing over from women's physique to bodybuilding, now are realizing that either I have to dumb it down. Julia, who was the girl who came in after Dana and won all the titles as the women's physique, she said she had to stop training and lose like 20 or 30 pounds to go into women's physique. How crazy is that? She had to stop training to dummy her body down to go into women's physique. And I think I'm talking about Julia, what's her last name?
Carney. She's from Brazil also.
But won a ton of titles. Mm-hmm. After Dana Lynn won the first one, then she took over, because I remember her winning her first title at the New York Pro when I did my first New York Pro, and she looked insane, but she said she had to stop working out in order to get into that class. Because why were women doing it then? Women were doing it then because women's bodybuilding was no longer in existence, so they had to dummy their bodies down to get into women's physique.
Mm-hmm. This is from Raheem Hamilton. He says Natalia is not ugly. Okay. He says this.
She was ugly.
Yeah, Natalia is going to destroy Andrea. He's talking shit, and he says this. Natalia's like Drago. She would say to Andrea, "I must
go back to work. I'm done with you. Go back to work."
Excuse me, Raheem. We're not talking about Natalia Kovaleva. We're talking about Natalia Abraham Cueto. That Natalia. There's about 5, 6, 7 Natalias in. Come on. I was talking about Zeke. But truthfully, I'm gonna say this again, Raheem. Natalia Kovaleva is not gonna beat Andrea. She's still young and developing. Plus, one thing that hurts her tits are too big. They take away from her physique. She's impressive, but if she, her chest takes too much away from her physique. It's like I saw Isabel doing when she was talking about, she was on talking about, her and Bob and Zoe were talking about who's going to win the show, and Isabel, you look at it like, you can't, pull it back a little bit, ladies. I know, breast you make you go feel it, but when you get to the point where you look like you should be a spare speedback in a Rocky Balboa movie.
Remember Alicia Young did the same thing. I'm like, why are you going bigger? I don't understand.
Yeah, she looked like cartoon characters.
You're already this short ass person, and then you make your boobs bigger instead of flowing with your body. I understand that, your breast tissue gets killed by some of the supplements that they use, et cetera, et cetera. But come on, if you're gonna get them that big, do porno. I mean, do porn or be a fucking clown. Seriously, I'm just being.
I'm like this. I'm a real.
If I gotta lift up my tits to show my abs, what?
I'm like this. I like the ones like Andrea, Sheeta Black, Alicia Florio, Jay Fuchs. I mean, like Jay, she was Jay. I think Jay said she's going to be competing at the show in Spain coming up. My
wife got them done, but they naturally flow with her body. They're most people can't tell that she has fake boobs, but she does. But they naturally flow with her body.
Yeah,
like Nicole Wilkins.
I see Miss Beefy, but Miss Beefy not.
Yeah, this is Jay Fuchs. Jay Fuchs, 51 years old. She got tattoos, but she never went under the knife. She still has great natural look to her. I love her physique. She went put on some size. She looked great. She's working with Hella. Hella's her coach right now. She's working with Hella, and Hella Nasir, I believe. And she took 8th. Maybe one thing about, I was talking with some people. The thing about with Jay, she's a little bit blocky in the midsection. That really hurt her, but she looks great in this picture. I mean, this video. She's talking with AJ over at Female Body Channel. AJ was there. She looks amazing. Look at her shoulders. Look at her quads. I
Well,
think she should.
because as judges, when we look at stuff, we look at stuff called what lat to waist ratio, and that's when you look at Andrea Shaw. No offense to Raheem, but it's a it's a flow in a look. Like if you look at Micaiah and you look at Helena, two people who pop to mind are top 5 girls. They pose a certain way because of their waistline to hide their thick waistline. Like this girl should never pose straight on because of her thick waistline. And some of those girls that you've seen, the girl who competed against, who lost to Boswell, that's what I'm talking about. When you look at Boswell and look at the other girl, I call it black kinetics or whatever but that little waist to lat ratio is crazy. Look at the girls look at all the girls in women's figure right now. They got these crazy, like unrealistic waistlines. That's why you see Tina, my wife, she's an athlete, so she has to wear these queens 24/7 to bring down her waistline to create a flow in her body. So people don't understand when they're looking at this as a judge. We're looking at waist to lat ratio. You'll look at Helena, and Micaiah, who are unbelievable competitors. Even what's the girl who from Vegas, George, the bodybuilding girl?
Chelsea Dion.
Yeah, they have to pose certain ways because they're trying to. And here's the thing: I tell my clients all the time: bodybuilding in this sport is a game of illusions and how you show and present your body. So you'll see Helena do this, and you'll see Micaiah do this because they're trying to hide that waistline. And I get it. I said, but it's a game of illusions, is what we're talking about. So when we were talking about Boswell earlier and the girl who placed second, I'm sure they were looking at the flows of their body. Yeah, the girl had bigger legs, but the whole evolution of her flow to her body is more pretty to look at Boswell than the other girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what they look at. That's what we look at sometimes.
Yeah, because I talk about Barbara Mojan, and Barbara, she competed last year in women's physique at the show in Brazil, the same show, the Italian one. That was the year they had women's bodybuilding, but they dropped the women's bodybuilding division from that show. There was only 2 competitors, Lavinia and Barreto, but she should have went over there and did women's bodybuilding. She probably could have beat Lavinia, probably, because there's a picture of her. I got a picture of her where I talk about this video show where I found a picture of her and say, wow, her shoulders, her delts. She should have did bodybuilding when she did that Brazilian show. She probably would have won the Olympia. We got here. This is from my man Lawrence Perkins. He just dropped this. He said, Evie definitely should go to bodybuilding division. And yeah, but the thing is, like Raheem will tell you this, Evie wants to stay where she's at. That's fair. You got a hello from KL. You got a hello here. What's up, KLA from Lawrence Perkins.
Hey, what's up, man?
Also, Raheem says Evie and Teresa. Yeah, fine. He says, he loves Teresa. Teresa, he loves Teresa. I got a bet. That she can make the Olympia, but if she don't, I'm gonna lose $20. But that's just that. So, and also, Lawrence Perkins says, yeah, she's working with Hella Trevino. Yeah, and we got here Jimmy Digital. He says, good day, mate. Good day. Oh, you must have from down under, Jimmy. But like I said, we were talking about earlier where I put these videos real quick again, like I was showing how if you look at, like, we're talking about how the girls in physique, and figure, how like right here, like Jessica Diaz-Reyes, she just won the Masters. This is a video I saw. It was on Female Body Channel. I saw it, and it was that morning, and I thought it was Edie Rain at first. While I look at the legs,
wow,
the waist, but then when we went up, Jessica. Good Lord! Now she's a brief.
Who is that?
That's Jessica. That's Jessica Reyes Padilla, and I thought that was Ivy Rain.
And what is she? She's figure?
She's figure.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Do you think, I think Candace is the champion, the Olympia champion right now. She won't, again, you're not going to beat Candace with that look. Just like Andrea Shaw, people understand, you're not going to beat Andrea Shaw. You you got to look at Andrea Shaw. You got to look at Candace, who's the four-time Miss Olympia, figure Olympia champion.
No, it's Sydney Gillen. Sydney Gillen. She's 7-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat them. This girl will not beat her.
Well,
It's
she took second to Sydney last year. She's second behind Sydney. And Lou Matez is third.
But again, it's one of those things when we're talking about this, George, and Steve and Sandy are sitting there, and Tyler is sitting there looking at these girls. It's the 7-time champ, the 3-time champ. It's like it's them and nobody else. I was there 2 years ago. I didn't go last year, but the year before. It's just pretty to look at. It's what they want. It's what they want the sport. The girl who is now the women's physique champion. The year that she lost to Sarah, me and Tina had a debate about this. I thought that she could possibly beat her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the powers that be when it comes to Jim, Sandy, Steve, and Mannion, the boss man. It all depends on what they want, and they know the champions like Sarah. In my opinion, Sarah started getting a little too hard. And even Sarah's voice started changing a little bit more. So, start changing a little bit. So, was she getting too hard for the women's physique? Was the question. And the girl, is that Natalia? What's the girl, the new champion?
Natalia Abraham Coelho.
Yeah, Natalia, she has that, look. So I don't know. Again, it's kind of hard to tell these girls, dummy down your look. And I said this when Micaiah won the Omaha 2 years ago, and Tina was in that show. Me, Linda, and Lena looked at the other girls who we thought probably were bigger and better than her. Well, nobody's ever going to beat Micaiah in condition. Let's be honest. They're never going to beat her in condition. But size and everything else, when you go to these shows and you see these girls and you sit there and say, okay, we understand her conditioning, but now she has to stand next to Andrea. Now she has to stand next to Margie. Now she has to stand next to Helena. Now she has to stand next to Irene and some of these girls that are top 5, top 6 girls. She look like a little kid. You know what I'm saying? That conditioning is one thing. The girl who won Chicago, not this year, but last year when Tina competed. I'm scratching my head because I'm like, it's women's bodybuilding. So it's a mixture of conditioning. It's a mixture of size. It's like Alina just said, the round shoulders, but not too hard, not too crazy. Like I said, you got to look at Andrea and to say, okay, this is what we want it to be. And if you are trying to chase after something, then chase after that. And George, you heard Steve and Sandy both say it. It's Andrea and it's everybody else.
And like I said, she's like the girl from the Fifth Element. She's perfect. And it's just, the guidelines are just keep changing. Like I'm gonna pull up some more. I'm gonna pull up another video for they were showing. I'm on Female Bodybuilding Channel's IG page, and I follow them. I follow AJ. Them shout out to them, and they were there. AJ was there, and right here you have Barbara right here, Barbara Mojin, and you look at Barbara. She looks like a bodybuilder. The shoulders, her lats, she's a lot more thickness. She has more fullness. She just has the look that is supposed to be seen in women's bodybuilding. Then you move over to someone here like, Evie Rain, who is more, even though she has some aesthetics of a women's bodybuilder, especially the shoulders, the lats. That's women's physique. But when she turns around, look at that back.
But what I try to explain to people so they get a better understanding is it's like it's a movie in Days of Thunder when Tom Cruise driving the guy Rowdy's car and he says, "Now let's see how you do when you're in a crowd." It's like they look great when they're standing there. Christina Mendoza, you look great when you're standing there. But let's see how you look when you're on stage with, like, Micaiah is a prime example. Let's see how you look like when you're amongst the big girls, the big dogs. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a whole different element of what we're talking about.
Yeah, because we look at it. Christina Mendoza. Look at Mila. We're looking right here at Michaela, and we have here that's Oxenio Barreto. She's in a pretty physique. She's also more closer into the 50 plus. Then you look at someone like this lady who I've become really fond of, the lovely Mrs. Melanie Horton, and she's like almost 60. You wouldn't think it.
Wow.
She's I think she's just turned 59 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to compete at the show. She put in an application, but they didn't invite her. She's going to compete at a show coming up, I believe next month. But she's an impressive woman and she competed back in the good part of the 90s when she came up.
The question is, why didn't she compete in the Masters?
She put an application. You can get invited. She can get invited because just like the Rising Phoenix, she didn't get invited. And then you have Dana Shemesh, who competed in physique, and now she's competing in women's bodybuilding. And she hadn't competed for 2-3 years. She's an Israeli bodybuilder, and she very attractive woman. Still, I know she says she's gonna be 49 coming up in a couple of days. She's also born 31st too, like your wife. So her and her wife, her and your wife share the same birthday.
But when I look at this girl, and if I'm breaking her down, shoulders are not, she's a physique girl. Shoulders not big enough. We'll need more definition and sweep on the quads. There's a whole bunch of things as a judge when I'm looking at this situation that this is women's physique. And I don't mind that. That's women's physique. That's not women's bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
That is not women's bodybuilding. That is women's physique.
Yeah. And right here we had we have here Carolina Dos Santos. She took second to Ivy. And she's attractive, great physique. She truthfully, she's physique.
That's women's physique. Yeah, absolutely. And the girls that that is what the women's physique should look like. That's what it should look like. And then if you pull up a bodybuilding picture and you put them side by side, you'll be like, okay, that's what it should. But how are we seeing this? Boswell, she went from women's physique. She has bigger quads, bigger shoulders, tiny waist, But again, it's one of those things that we understand. We three understand, are looking, at least me and George. I know Kai, you getting, on board, but we're looking and understand the distinction between the two. So for all these judges have been doing this shit that's why it's so funny when you start listening to these judges. It's like, Steve, I understand, been around. Jim, Stanley's been around, and Jim's been around, all this other things. But how I've had so many people come up to me that just off the street, like, I don't understand. I don't understand what I'm supposed to be looking at. I don't understand the difference between the two. It's like, well, we're looking at a bunch of girls that George just pulled up and showed us and go, okay, that's women's physique. That's what it should look like. Oh, this is women bodybuilding. That's what it should look like. It shouldn't be that much. It shouldn't be that complicated and that much rocket science in this shit, right? Or is it just me?
Well, like
I know we've been around. I know we've been around for a long time, but shit, come on, figure it out.
Yeah, and here's Lavinia. This is Lavinia from Brazil. I don't know if she's competing there just that. Early this year she's got a breast job. My guess, I hope they finally. I think it Bing finally dropped. I don't know if she's gonna do a show or not. And she's also another who's just in her early 20s, and she's impressive. She got 15th behind Donna Salih, but I think she maybe traveled from Brazil to States. She might have been off, but she's been working. I'm a fan of Lavinia Barros. She's impressive physique. And then again, we look at someone, like Michaela Aycock, who is her conditioning. She's like Michaela's 4'11". She's really short. She's very short. The lady who I interviewed a while back, Eunice, she took a picture with Michaela. She's 5'1". She's 5'1". 2 inches taller than Michaela. And also remember Nikki, she was at that show, and I felt like Nikki was going to get it because Nikki is a lot taller. But Nikki looked a lot better than she did the last few shows she did back in 2021 at Tampa. She looked better at Tampa, and I felt like she was going to get the qualification. So, but
well, it's like we talked about Nikki and Jessica, two girls who one took off a year and one took off 2 years, and again, I'm not gonna take nothing away from Micaiah, but if I'm picking the two, I think I'm picking Jessica over Micaiah. Nikki and Christina. I mean, Christina is, she's Latin, so she got those big quads. But again, I can't really take nothing from Christina because this was the first time, like Rashida Boswell, that they actually bought better conditioning, because that was the biggest problem with these two girls is their conditioning was lacking. Christina would have been how many times Christina's been invited to the Worlds, how many times and dropped out? Like 2-3 times. 2 times she's dropped out because she just, and I'm just like, but she's bringing the funk, and I said, just don't put the horse the horse before the cart, because at the end of the day, everybody's sitting here talking all this shit about, like me and John, and he ain't talking. I told John, I said, for people who don't understand this, simple. Andrea Shaw is the reigning world champion and Olympia champion. Let's get it clear. It's just like Kai, or just like Phil, just like Kai, who are these top 2 people in their sport. They're saving up. You waste all your energy on these little fucking shows. But when you come to the big show, it's just like the year, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, when you have Margie, and me and John Smith was just talking about this too. When you have Margie and Helena talking about, oh, when we get on the stage, my conditioning is going to be like no other. Margie's talking all this shit, and Andrea Shaw's just looking at him like, okay, her exact words, bring it.
Look what she did.
And got their asses rocked again.
Yeah, and it was just all they did was just trade back for second and third, the last 2 ones. But then Angelo came in. She took second because, like I said, Angela's like, I think in her mid-30s and younger.
Yeah.
She's still small. I've seen some picture from Angela. She looks like she's put on some size. But I'm hearing guys talking about, oh, Christina's going to do it. Christina's too bottom heavy. Natalia's going to do it. Natalia's too top heavy. Angela, she's still small. We got here. Lawrence Perkins says this. He says, yeah, whatever a person decision, that's all it matters. What they want to be. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, thank you. Also, this is from Man Raheem. He says she's going to be 48, not 49. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about Miss Shemesh. She's going to be 48. But still pretty impressive for a woman for almost 50. Yeah. But it's just like I said again. These requirements, they had to figure them out. Maybe, especially with the amateur level, when I know I was talking to one lady I'm really funny with. She's doing the North Americans. I told her, well, why don't you double dip? She said, you know what, she could double dip, but she loves bodybuilding. She wants to do bodybuilding.
And here's the thing. So I have a client, Bruce, who's going to leave tomorrow, and we talked about this price thing for a hotel, flight, and 2 classes is $2,000. You know what I'm saying?
$2,000.
$2,000 for no guarantees.
Mm.
The last time he did this show, it was 19 guys in his class. I think he was 9th. I predict him being in the top, 3 this show. Not because I'm his trainer, just because if I show you pictures of this dude, he looks fucking insane for 53 years old. He looks crazy. And he's double dipping because it's one of those things that we have to figure this out. He's doing men's classic physique, and he's doing men and doing physique. So it's one of those things where I understand why people do it, because you're sitting here saying, where do I fall? Where am I best? And I think I told you, George, there was a girl who was here who moved back to New York, who me and Tina sat down and says, hey, you can do wellness because that's what your coach has you in, but do figure. And the judges went up to her and says, if you would have did figure, you would have won. Because it's sometimes for some of these competitors, and I get it, it's a whole deal of, okay, where do I fall? Where do I actually belong? And some of these some of these women's physique girls have probably been doing this for a few years and are getting bigger. And now looking over at women's bodybuilding, because here's the thing. Not all women bodybuilders that I've been seeing in the last few years conditioning have been stellar. So they look like, hey, I can go over there and probably fare better than in women's physique, because women's physique, most of those girls are in pretty damn good shape, condition wise. And the bodybuilding girls, in my opinion, and those disrespected bodybuilding women's class of bodybuilding, are not as in as good shape as women's physique these days. That's just a fact. That's like saying look at a classic physique guy and look at a bodybuilder. Chris Bummister, his look is phenomenal. The dude is like he's the goddamn Weeder statue, for Christ's sakes. You know, but again, his conditioning, everything, and you look at those guys' pose and their presentation, and I'm a pro open bodybuilder. It's way better than ours. Way better than ours. So I think a lot of these women's physique girls are looking saying, I can fare better. Like Maya, prime example. Maya is a really good friend of ours, really good friend of my wife. Maya, like I said, I can't reiterate enough, jumped out of one class into another class and turned pro the next show. Louisiana, she was dead last, George.
Her and Jada, they
won
were,
the
yeah.
New York pro the next show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta fight. Hey, as they say, you gotta get in where you fit in.
Yeah, because that same show that Jada was told to go to women's bodybuilding. She took a year off, but now Jada, if you she's going to compete back in physique, and it fits better for her because she's not that big of a girl. She's more tall or leaner, and and I think physique is a better division for her. Mila, she has that density. She reminds me of one of my favorite bodybuilders back in the day. That is Vicky Gates. I said that to Eunice, who lives in Texas. She knows Vicky Gates.
Yep.
We got here my man Sean McMillan. He says women's physique is starting to look like mid-90s female bodybuilding. Yeah, I see that. He also says good afternoon, Sean Millen. That's is a good afternoon from Sean Millen. And also he says do you guys agree with the women's bodybuilding top 4 at the Masters? I would say I would want to. I think Salvia Mate. I like Salvia. I used to follow her. We used to talk back and forth on my OIG account. She was too high. I think they should have 4th place. Maybe should have went to Jay Fuchs or I think Cheryl Mears. One thing about Cheryl, she's a nice lady. She's a cancer survivor. Shout out to her, but she's been competing both in physique and women's bodybuilding. She's still a bit undersized for women's bodybuilding. And one thing is, she does have that colostomy bag. They're not going to penalize for that, but she's still. I think I would say it like this. I would say top 5. I'm going to agree with the first part with Shauna and Barbara and Virginia. Yep. And then I was swapped out Cheryl and Savannah with Tana and Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jay would take 4th and Tana would take 5th.
Yep.
Yeah, I honestly, I'll say that. Leah Denny, she's a great lady. Great lady, but Leah, she does pretty good. She took 4th place over Mona at the Rising because she was 5th the year before, then turn around and take 4th. And let's say something, Mona, she's not competing this year. She's, I think last time I saw her, she was over there at Vancouver hanging out with Isabel, and they were doing, probably working behind that show. She lives in Texas now, or she may have moved back to Canada, but I think she still lives in Texas. Also, man, Lawrence Perkins says, I'm okay with it. That's good. But I feel like, some people like with someone like LaDonna Day at the Atlanta show. LaDonna was top 5. And, I believe Whitney Sanchez should have been top 5. I like Whitney. She has a great physique. I think my man Keith, he competed the same show together with Wendy that I saw her. LaDonna, she just can never she always comes in. I mean, I know. Yeah, I mean that year when she won the North Fork, I felt like it should have been between Nikki and Janine. I mean, she should. I think she was at Omaha. She was in top 5. Just I don't know. She can never really get as conditioned.
Nope.
I'm just yeah. Was this from a man? Uh, my man Lawrence says I was just on her story. He was on Mona's story. So, that's more her IG story. Let me see. We'll go here for quick. Y'all guys talk for a bit. And he's talking about Mona personally. He's talking about her story. Wait, let me see. We're gonna
I don't
see.
even know who that it is.
Well, Mona personally is a bodybuilder. I got to see her compete. I got to see guest pose at Savannah last year, and
Well, I
she
think the
probably.
problem with Mona is I don't know her from the year she was second to the girl from who lives here who retired right away. What was her name? Remember the powerlifter girl who won Tampa 2 years ago? She just quit. She just decided.
You mean the
The girl
pisser?
who pees when she squats.
That's the time when that's your photo session with her on her back.
Hey, the one who
Hunter
pees.
Henderson.
Yeah, the one who pees when she squats.
Yeah. Well, actually, I talked to some. I follow. She might be coming back.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she just she has medical issues. She might be coming back because she did pretty. You gotta think about it, Keith. She did her first regional show, won it in women's bodybuilding.
I know. I was there, Omaha.
Yeah. Because he was there in Omaha. I forgot. Then she goes over and wins USA's, and then takes second to Mona at Tampa.
Yeah.
She, she had a
Because
lot of
I told her
potential.
when she won Omaha that year, I said, don't go to USA's because it's, no offense and all, you're not competing against somebody. Go to Wings of Strength where it's a better platform for her. And then she could have went right into the next day and competed. And I think her boyfriend at the time who was training her decided they were already had planned on USA because I was there, Alina, and because they were trying to recruit girls. I mean, that was the one thing that Wings of Strength have been trying to do is recruit quality girls to do the show. And I told her, I said, look, you go to Wings of Strength, you're gonna smash everybody because she looked really good and she went to USA's and turned pro with like
Miss
2 girls in her
International.
class.
I think who won that year, Miss International? I think it was that chick,
Oh, the girl we
Sandra.
said that it was the girl that we said that looked like she didn't work out.
Yeah, I think Sandra Herwin. She won that year, and
Yeah.
compared to the other girl who actually it was 2 women. Sandra won the overall, and Erica Harding she won her in her class, and
Yep.
she could be in Puerto Rico, and she just did. She looked more like I don't know. She looked more like figure she did women's bodybuilding. And she was.
Is
And
that
she
with the
was
girl
good.
with the purple hair?
Yeah, Erica
Yeah.
Bedakova,
If you
Erica
look at her,
Harding.
she looked like a figure. She didn't look like a physique competitor. And again, they get the sad thing is you get a pro card because there's only 2 girls that you're competing against one other girl who didn't look that well, as no disrespect, but didn't look that good as well. And you get a pro card and never gonna do anything with it. And that's the problem, that you have is like Wings of Strength, the pro show is like I think the biggest competition that they had that I know to a date is when Christina Mendoza and my wife competed against each other. Because I remember her boyfriend and me were talking shit in the stands to each other. But it was a great show. It was 7 girls in that class, and it was a fight to the very bitter end, and clearly Christina got knocked out that day, but and is now on the upswing of things. But it is what it is. But that was one of the better competitor shows because I'm like, should you? I mean, here's my question to people out there: should a girl get a pro card or any competitor get a pro card if there's 2 people in the class?
Or just I've seen that one lady I talk about, Issa. She competed in 2 or 3
Are you
pro
really?
qualifiers
I
and
mean,
did not
because
get
the
a
thing
pro
about
card.
that, but the thing about the girl that we said got that pro card, think about what she looked like. I mean, and we're like, you're a pro bodybuilder? What?
This thing about her, she competed at nationals in women's bodybuilding. She took second to Sanika Given. She was doing wellness around that
Yes.
time. and then she decided to do. She looked like, I think she was double dipping in wellness and bodybuilding. We just lost my man Keith. He's back here. We got here for his. We have a man here, Sean. Where do you guys think Irene Anderson would have placed if she did the Masters?
Here's the thing. She would have placed in. She would have placed in I would say top 3, because think about it. The last World Championship, she's always in the top 5. So, you know, I still am baffled that she didn't do it. I mean, like, you know.
Yeah, because she's taking this year off.
Well, this is the wrong year to take off when they got a damn Master Olympia and she's
Well,
from somewhere over there.
I ran into her when I was at Savannah last year, and at that Savannah show they had a Masters thing. She didn't do the Masters; she just did the Open. She could have beat the lady who won that Masters. She could have beat her. I up a couple close. This is a big sweet herself. Shook her hand, said hello to her. She's a big woman. She's a beautiful woman too. She's a woman. She has 3 kids, grandkids. She's almost 60.
Yeah, and her and Tina are the same height. They're like 5'9". They're the tallest girls in women's bodybuilding. I know that because Irene is a wonderful lady too. They're both 5'9". So they're tall girls compared to, like you said, what Makaya's 4'11". So yeah. I mean, think about it. How do you really compare a 4'11" girl to a 5'9" girl?
I don't know, man. It's just. Because
I think Andrea is maybe 5'7", 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", somewhere in there.
Yeah, but it's just ways. It's just the requirements they want. I think she should have maybe done the show. I think one lady told me she just turned 53 this year. She told me she didn't want to do the match thing because she fears she's ready. It's not about you being ready. I know she's done pretty well some shows, but then even though it's not a big paycheck compared to the Open shows, but when you're in 5th or 6th where you don't get a check, but you do a master show, you get at least
$10K sound good to me.
Yeah,
if I'm 10K, if I'm on the 10K sounds good to me. Because if you go to Open show, here's the thing: Makaya won $2,000, right? Makaya ran $2,000 for winning Tampa. 5th place was what? 5th, I don't even know if 5th place gets a check.
5th place, I think, was maybe like 500.
500.
I don't think 5th place even got any money.
So what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's like
because she played in Atlanta. This lady I talk about, she played in Atlanta. She was 6.
Dexter was 51 years old when he retired. Still stealing money. He's like, I'll jump into Tampa. It's only $20,000 compared to what I'm gonna make at the Olympia. But hey, if I can steal a check and you're gonna let me steal a check, I'm gonna steal that 20 racks.
Yeah, we got here from this is man. Lawrence Perkins says he's talking about Hunter Henderson. He says, yeah, she's a beast, but she, I think I saw somebody one time. Yeah,
that was the one that's a power lift.
Yeah, she's a power lifter.
Hunter.
Yeah, because she one time I think it was doing some kind of a presentation or something, and somebody gave her a thing of Depends.
Wow. and the funny thing is, if like her and Tina did a photo shoot for her biceps at the Tampa that year that she won, and she was, I'll send you a picture, George. She was so.
I know that picture because I sent it to Tina because she was on
Tina's back.
Because I sent that to Tina because I'm Muscle Per Smoke. I'm on some of the Beat the Beat sites, and I saw it, and I said, Tina, and I said to Tina, said, "Hey George, where you got it from?" Said, "Well, I was on her biceps. They posted it, and I think it was on their Facebook page, and I sent it to her, and they said they wanted her to jump on her back, and it's just."
But when they started even comparing like bicep size and stuff, it was just like, and that's the whole distinctions, like how, and that's why they created the 212 and Open, because guys that were 212 could not compete with guys that were in the Open class. So why, it's kind of like, do you get rid of, do you get rid of women's physique and just create 2 different classes for women's bodybuilding, or what do you do? Because again, at the end of the day, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. I mean, like, you got, Irene and Tina and who was the girl that Monique? Who was it? Who was the other tall girl?
Angela Rayburn. There's Kim
Angela
Buck.
Rayburn. Yeah, Kim Buck.
Um,
Kim Buck, who was I was thinking of.
yeah,
You know,
Kim
those are
Buck,
tall girls. You
yeah,
know,
and
going to
yeah,
go see.
tall girls. They usually, it don't take much. It takes a lot for them because it's. I think, I know Angela a while back. Angela, her father passed away. She hadn't competed since I think 2021,
Yeah,
and she's been kind of quiet. Kim Buck, I think I saw her do something. She was hanging out with Alicia Young, Rita West, and they were doing some photo sessions. She looked like she's still in good shape, but I don't think
yeah.
she's gonna because I think I heard that she was taking care of her father. So I
Well,
know
and
the
she makes
twins.
like, and I think Kim Buck makes suits and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
she made suits for the Rises like 2 or 3 years ago. And I know one
yeah,
person they were talking about maybe trying to because maybe start her own kind of couture line for women's bodybuilding,
yeah.
and see what that is. But it's like I said, this was I would honestly say like this: the guidelines for these shows they need to be changed. Maybe like I said, he might, you know, you know, bring the Masters to the U.S., but I feel like I doubt it because with
No,
the amateur show over there, the Europa show, you know, because you told me that it's amateur shows. They really much between the sponsors, the amateur shows that money also goes towards the prize money too. So if they make it part of the mainline Olympia, but they do have amateurs Olympia there too. So
yeah,
it could work, but I think they feel like they want to have a show that can enjoy that show, and then Alina has a show, the Valhalla, that might become a pro am later down the road because he wants to expand. Because like I said again, bodybuilding is very popular overseas. Some
yeah.
women don't want to compete in women's bodybuilding, but there's some women I saw at that show that shit. Like this one lady who competed at Texas. Her name is Lena. Her name is Lena Fornikova. I think I could pull up somewhere here. She was 16,
Yeah, I know.
and I remember she back in 2021, the same year when Hunter made her debut at the Tampa, she won that show and won her Olympic qualification. But then she took second to Ashley Jones at the Texas Pro, and she's been kind of falling off a bit. This is wait, right here. That's AJ. That's her right there, and she's originally from Czech Republic. I think she still lives there. Or one point I thought I thought she's living here in the States too, because she looked like she lost a lot of that conditioning, but she just
Yeah,
needed work on her size. You know, but
yeah.
she's not placing. She's placed the 16th at Texas twice. She might need to consider. That's Issa right there, who didn't get a pro card at that show. Issa, look at her arms.
Wow.
That's another lady I don't know about. Let's see. That's Issa again. And I'm telling you, she's more of a bodybuilder. She's been competing for at
Yep.
least 10 years. She lives in Denmark. Her husband, I did an interview with them a while back. She's Brazilian, and she has good, she's got good amount of size. I think she just needed to work on her condition a little bit. And and that's just compared. There's Jessica Padilla Reyes right there.
Hmm.
Look at her. She did compete in physique for a minute. If she kick off the high heels,
She be right in the money. Because
yeah,
again, it's another one of these things. Some of these, if you look at some of these figure girls and look at those delts, bro, and you look at their quads and their glutes and their hamstrings, and they kick those heels off. George, you're right. That could be easily a pretty women's physique competitor and a top competitor in women's physique.
yeah. Like I said, she took second to Cindy Gillen at the Olympia last year. She just did
Look
Texas
at that
before the show.
back.
Yeah,
Look at that back. That what? Okay, let's be honest. Natalia is a champion right now, but
yeah.
when you're looking at this girl's delts and everything, and of course their figures, so of course their glutes are not going to be super hard and their quads. But if she dries out a tad bit more, George, what's the difference between her and Natalia? Not
Not too much
much.
because Natalia also beforehand Natalia was originally figure herself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how she got into it. She was figure before. But gentlemen, I mean, this is a great debate, great conversation. I want to say congratulations to all the competitors who earned their qualifications for the Olympia at the Masters. Also, congratulations to the new pros. We got some new pros on the show. Too bad it's just that one lady's just going to be representing two divisions. I feel like this is,
A
come on.
waste.
Yeah, I mean, that means you're just really just cutting out women's bodybuilding when you have
Well,
maybe a couple of women who look more like women's bodybuilders.
and it's just like Andrea. Are they going to give the girl whoever comes in second at the Worlds, the pass to the Olympia? That's the question.
No, they're not, because the fact is, if it's like Mela or Michaela,
They
it's
already
no point. Getting,
qualified.
no, it's not point.
So
You
it's like
just got to keep.
how far does the apple fall from the tree? Are
Yeah,
you giving it to the third? Are you giving it to the third or fourth place girl who hasn't qualified? I mean, it's crazy.
that'd be the problem. You think about it, it might be someone like Angela Yo, who's already second behind Michaela. It could be someone like who else is already qualified. Maybe if Chelsea Dion can get second and they give it to her, because I think Chelsea's competing at the
So
Rising.
have we seen the list of how many girls are already qualified for the Olympia? Have we seen that yet?
Well, let me pull it up. Let me go here. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm looking for it. You know, I think the list is, they have to update it every so often.
Yeah, because they usually do the list of points and all that stuff, but now they're not doing that.
You don't have
The
points
numbers
anymore.
have to be the numbers have to be very small because that just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
That's a
because
that's
then, like I say, you have like say if one of the girls who already qualified for the Olympia do the show in Spain, that cuts out somebody,
yep.
and
But how
then
many girls are gonna what? How many girls have qualified right now? I mean, how many women's bodybuilding show has there been this year, George?
I would
Usually,
say a total of there's a few more, but like the World Master Show is not an Olympic qualification, so that don't
nope.
count. That's coming up.
Which
Uh,
is stupid. Which is, if you're gonna do, I just don't understand. If you're gonna do worlds, you have the world championships. Why doesn't the world championships qualify you for Olympia qualification too?
because they have so many different age groups. You got 35, 30 and over, 35 and over,
I
40 and
understand that,
over.
but if you just do whatever they did this weekend, the 40, the
Well, they just
40,
put everybody in one thing.
yeah,
That's what they did. They just everybody who was qualified because of their 40 plus. But with the master show, it's like with master shows at the other show. It's based by you know you know you
and the
just like
world,
you have different age groups, but those women those age groups don't qualify because it's for those like you have women like you have the 40 you have 40 45 and over, you have 55 over, you have 50 and over, and they just don't do it like that. It's just
well, do you know anybody who's doing the Master Worlds?
not yet. I'm gonna see if
If
they
you
put up
do,
the.
if you do, ask them a question: are they paying to play? Or are they invited? Are they paying to play and they split the prize money up, or are they actually doing a legitimate deal like they did at the Master Olympia, where they're like, hey, if you send in your contract and you want to do the Master Worlds, or are they having to pay to do this because you know.
Well, I trying to think of who might do the show. Um, I don't know. I'm not that we're close to Michelle Brandt. Um,
Mama
I thought
Muscle, is she not doing it? Your girl,
who who?
Mama Muscle, the one usually have on the
Oh,
show.
Marianne. Let
Yeah.
me. I'll check if she's on the list because I think she might be competing. She said at one point she said she was going to compete because some stuff happened. She was really going through something. But I might ask Marianne. I might call her later. I'm gonna see when you post the list. Now this is the list here, and you see here at the very top. Let me see if I can expand it or something. Let me see if I can increase
One,
the
two,
size.
three, four, five, six,
Andrea
7,
show.
8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11 girls so far.
Well, you got to scratch out Hella
Telling her. So 10.
10. So 10. and then whoever wins the show in Spain, that's 11.
Because I'm like, to be honest, I'm surprised. I thought Teresa would have beat this Julia Wetzel because she's from my neck of the woods. And again, another girl who moved over from women's. She was in women's physique last year, moved over to women's bodybuilding and won. What was it, Toronto? That's a show that she won.
Yeah,
to beat Teresa. That girl moved over from women's physique last year and went into women's bodybuilding and beat Teresa this year. And the crazy thing is, how ironic is this? Teresa, remember, went from women's bodybuilding and went to women's physique and couldn't get no love.
Yeah, she took 7th at the Chicago. Yeah. That was the year. That was the year where Shauna won, and she took 7th. That was the year. That was the name we got. Speak on my channel. She took 2nd, and Christina took 3rd at that show.
Yeah.
And Sherry Priyami, who switched last year to women's bodybuilding, she was doing pretty good. She was behind, right behind Angela at Chicago. She took 3rd at Tampa, and I think she was right behind Michaela at Atlanta. She could have done one more show and got qualification by points, or maybe one, but situation happened to one of her kids, and she could step back. Sherry won the Vancouver Island show where Julia competed at. They were saying that I felt like it was going to be Sherry. I felt it was going to be Sherry. And then Natalia, she won New York. Julia won Toronto. Arsenio won Portugal. Alicia won Mela won Atlanta. Christina won Chicago, which I felt like it should have been Jessica to me. It's just me my opinion. Michaela won Tampa, which I feel it should have been Nikki. And Rashana, who I think Rashana on this list is the only one, I would say, between her and Natalia, are the only two that I think really, deserve to win their shows. I might say Sherry too. I would say Sherry too. Yeah. But with Barito, it was only her and Anastasia Nevanova that show. It was only 2 competitors that show. That show, I hope they still have women's bodybuilding at the Portugal next year. I hope they still have it, because last year was 1 year ago was 4 women, then it was down to 2. Some women don't want to go over to women's bodybuilding because they say they want to lose the femininity, all that other crap they like to say. Women's physique is, it's hit hard a little bit because where's physique? They have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. With and then here's the thing with Evie, she just won the Master Show, which takes somebody else out. Natalia won both New York and Pittsburgh. That would have been 18 and 19 women for women's physique. But
yeah, but you're always going to have more women in those classes because they have more shows.
Yeah, because I think they have at least 2 more. I would say they have 3 more shows for Olympia qualification. They have,
the women have 1 at 2. Well,
1. Well, I don't count Rising Phoenix, because as long as Andrea's there, it's not qualification for anybody.
Yeah.
So it just only have Spain, they have Spain. They have I think you're gonna have another show, I think in Nevada, and I think the qualification stops right at the Rising Phoenix.
Yep.
For the Olympic, because it stopped like around about the 1st of November, but because the Olympia is going to be that 1st of November, I think qualification starts probably that 1st in October.
Yeah.
So you have September, and I think they're going to have at least 2 or 3 more shows that's going to be Olympic qualification for women's physique.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just sad that what Jake could do is, Jake, hey, Jake, why not bring back top 5 for women's bodybuilding? What that does is, it will give those women who already qualified for the Olympia the opportunity, and then after that, everybody else is just competing.
I mean,
You
and
know,
think about it. We just looked at that list, and here's the sad thing, and I'm gonna say this, and I will say it over and over until Olympia is done. Nikki and Jessica are not on that effing list and should be on that list. That's so much wasted talent that may not get to the show and got the physiques to back it up.
well,
And
if
that's the look. And that's the look. And I want to say, if you go to Jessica's IG, because Tina showed me a picture of Jessica before she did
yeah,
Chicago,
I'm going. I
I
do
think
quick.
I think she dummied down her look for the Chicago, which hurt her because Tina showed me pictures of Nikki and or Jessica, and I was like, "There's no way that's Jessica." Go to her IG like a week out, 2 weeks out before the show. She looked retarded. I was like, "Good Lord." And when she got there, I don't know if they overcarbed her or something. You know, I know Teresa said they did something happen along the line. Her and her coach did agree as well because they overcarbed her up as well. And people don't understand, you overcarb a person, it F's up everything that you worked so hard for because it happened to Tina last year. But if you look at Jessica's page, she looked bananas before the Chicago. And she still looked great. She she wasn't as hard as she was looking in those pictures on IG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because was it like that year after Omaha? She got sick. She had got the virus, and and she took
Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! That's crazy. That's crazy.
That was just I posted on my IG that picture where she say.
So she had to do something before Chicago because I was like, ain't no way. I mean, it's just pretty. I mean, it's just pretty too. I'm like, man.
I like her in that picture.
Yeah, she had to do something between like Chicago because she brings that look. Christina doesn't beat her. I'm telling you right now. Mm-hmm. And she still, I mean, look at this picture. She still look good.
She has broader shoulders, smaller waist.
What do you guys think of that look? What do you think of her look right there?
It's a good look. Look. This is a little video of her just showing off her quads. I mean, she, and one thing also about her, she has not been to the wheel of silicone. She has natural. She has a natural pecs, and I like when you keep like that. Who have one Barbara Curry, who says she's not competing anymore because she's not playing because your tits are too big. It take away from your physique. You look uneven.
Yep.
I understand you like, but you say someone would say that you get breast jobs because it's like
getting crazy, bro. That is crazy. That look right there is crazy.
Yeah, this is I think a little video she has. She's building something. She's building a shed. She posted something recent. Let me see. She posted something recent.
Where's she from?
She's from Oregon. She's around by Oregon.
Okay.
Because she's really she one of her coaches that helps her out is an opposing coach is Sheila Black.
Yeah, Sheila's a good girl.
Yeah, Sheila's she
comes from after. Look at that! Look, that's crazy.
She kind of reminds me of a certain person we not speak on here, but she's a better mom than that person.
But here's the thing: this talented person is not going to be an Olympia.
No,
that's crazy.
I think somebody talk about she might not compete next year, but she with so few opportunities. I don't know if she's going to go to Spain. I doubt it. And I don't know if Jake will give her the invite. I doubt that either. He'll probably like one thing I thought if Michaela had lost to Nikki, he probably gave Michaela the invite. But anyway, bros, I mean, it was a good show. I was,
yes.
It was on very, very, very early in the morning. So, but it was good that I was able to get it. Some ladies I've been in contact with. I might have some interviews coming up with some in the future. One lady says she suggested me, said, George, we need to get something together. Get you come to one of our shows. I said, well, I can appreciate it, but I get my car fixed. I got to see some work done on it. I need but yeah, I hope they do bring the show back. I think some women should make that show their option for them. Still do the regular other shows, but I would say do that too. Stack your chips because it costs you depending on where you're from, where you're at. If you're close to the East Coast, I think it don't cost as much. to travel to.
Over here, it's gonna cost $1,800
per person.
per person.
And me as a big man, they're gonna charge me for 2 seats. So I keep forgetting.
You silly as hell.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true shit, brother. But folks, I'd like to thank people who came through. My man Sean McMillan, my man Raheem Hamilton, Lawrence Perkins, Jimmy Digital, JKL here. We help him get knowledge here. Because he's learning. He's like a baby. He's walking. He's growing. I'm proud of him. He has more people than he has more followers than I do on his channel, but he's doing pretty good with his stuff. His thing, it works for him. That's good for him, and I tell him that.
Yeah.
What you do is good for you. What I do is I'm not just a fan of the women's muscle, also a fan of the sport. That's different. But what you're doing and stuff, your content is what you're special. You got, like I said again, you got more subscribers than I do, but you still do good work.
I appreciate that.
No problem. There are times I won't have problems slapping your back, but then there's those times I'll slap you in the face when I feel like it. Yeah, but folks, I'd like to thank y'all for coming through. Like I said, congratulations to Shana Boswell, all the other competitors that earned their pro cards, also the winners who get qualified for the Olympia. We might do this, because I think the Olympia is that first week of November, the last week of October. We might do like a special Halloween Olympia. We just do a critique and talk about if you're wearing costumes. I might, do something. I might put on the other guy.
What, in October?
Yeah, because the Olympia.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, the Olympia, they moved it from. I don't know why it's leaving December. November's about the tail end of hurricanes, because there's a storm coming up about in Florida. There's a lady who I follow. She said, she posted a video how people went in the gym. There's supposed to be a hurricane coming around by that time in Florida. You don't really, it's best to put it in December, but by then all hurricanes are quelled down. That close to November, that's around about hurricane season. I live in North Carolina. We get them bad around here too. I mean, it would be better to leave it in December. What that would do, that would make the Romania Muscle Fest the last show for Olympic qualification for this year, instead of making it for qualification next year. Because I saw Anastasia Kobalova, she's going to compete there. Jay Fuchs is going to do the Spain show. On my IG, when I posted out who's going to do the show in Spain, Chelsea said she's going to do that show. And then I have some other people who they told me not to say it, but some other people say they're going to do that show too. So I'll keep the comments. But I think we're going to have a good lineup. Me and Teresa would do it, because I don't want to lose $20. I can use extra $20, but I don't want to lose $20. But hey, like I said, I'm a man of my word. If I lose, I'm a picky type of criminal. Say like this. But
I'll say something different line, man.
No, those are the best lines because they complete me.
Did you see the recent Joker? Did you see the recent Joker? The one with Jack Queen. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. It wasn't. I seen it the other day.
I saw it was all right, but I love Heath because he just took his voice and he ran. I hate the fact that it caused him to kill himself, but it was just he just took that. He just made it such he was just so into it. He was just like a plan. He didn't have a plan. He was just a dog chasing cars. So like other people's like sometimes you'll know a person's self when they're put in situations, particularly strange. But what doesn't make us? What makes us stranger sometimes make us stronger. We got it. But anyway, folks, I appreciate you coming through. I wish you all the best of luck this coming weekend. We're gonna find something to talk about next week because it's getting a thing. We might talk about the Masters, the World Masters, to see. Maybe by that week I get my monthly check. I might check it out, watch the pay-per-view. just support, because I don't know if they put the list out yet. Usually I think they'll put. You say not the Tuesday.
Yep, it starts. The show starts Wednesday.
So they probably have put it out today. I'll go check on it and see, who they already got qualified, and then I'll do a video, and because also I think it might be they might be doing the amateur show first.
The amateur, because my client competes Wednesday.
So yeah, the amateur show. I think the main show is probably going to be the
Friday
3rd. I think that's Sunday or Saturday. I don't know. It's a Gary Urick show. Check out it. But folks, I'd like to thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate your support. My gut man Raheem, Jimmy, all y'all. My man KL, my man Big Keith here. We wish his loving wife the best of luck at the Rising. Hope she does well. It said that the master show is going to be Sundays the 3rd. So, and see, this 2023 lists is provided. They got the list. I gotta see the lists.
I gotta break out. I appreciate you having me. Nice talking with you, Keith.
Me too. You
I
too,
know I ain't say much. I know I ain't say much, but I appreciate y'all, giving me the insight on the sport. So
we not just want to be entertaining, but also we want to be educational, and that's the thing we want to do. This is why it's about our platform.
All right, fellas, you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you
when
soon.
I'm gonna get my degree. Get
your master's.
I'll see y'all later.
All right. Well, folks, my man Big Keith Williams, aka Scuba Steve, aka the Macho Man, and my man KL the Wanderer, aka Captain of the Starship. I think again, Lawrence Perkins are coming through, Sean McMillan, Raheem Hamilton, Jimmy Digital. Also, are you my man, the underrated Darkness. All you came through here supporting this channel, and thank you for your support. Best, like I said, congratulations to all the ladies and gentlemen who have earned their pro cards. All ladies and gentlemen who have earned their qualification for the Olympia. Good luck to you, and can't wait to see what we're gonna see. So, anyways, this is always George Case, aka the Emperor of Everybody Talk. Like, don't subscribe. I'm out.